someone speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry, what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
All right. I love that song. I just love it. It's so fantastic. Very, very blessed to have that wonderful song. We are here on Talk Like a Pirate Day, which I probably won't be doing too much of because arg me hearties. It's too hard. Alas. Alas. I'd rather be strung up by ye yardarms. Yeah, I don't have good pirate patterns anymore. I used to back in the day. But it doesn't matter because we have our Sam Pal. We have our Muppet mug. Do you have a Muppet mug? Have you considered? It'll help you. It'll help you if you consider. There's a lot of Muppetry going on. And then, of course, straight from Ocracoke Island, we have Pirate Mug number 1. Delightful mint tea. And, of course, I have my captain's mug right here. Dun, dun, dun. Proof that I am, in fact, the pirate captain. How else would I have this mug? I had the great joy and honor to go out last night and go to a pirate lantern tour. And they performed a pirate duel, which was awesome, complete with firing pistols, and told us pirate history in the Carolinas, which was quite nice. I was not too far down the road in Camden. And it was absolutely lovely. They had the place all decked out. Everybody had costumes on. I had my suspenders. Didn't take Polly though. I left Polly at home. Polly's too delicate, so I didn't want to risk Polly. And despite not having my costume designer here because she left this morning, I managed to make my dinner, eat my dinner, and get here on time. Only with a few minutes to spare, granted, but also, aha, victory. Victory is better than death. Just remember that. Tell your friends. Yeah, so I thought I would do a little sort of pirate stuff. I'm going to tie things together maybe in a little bit of a different way. I do have the perspective hierarchy animation. I haven't really decided what I'm going to call this yet. It's done. It's ready. I think I'm waiting on a thumbnail, but push comes to shove, I can do one of those myself, but I bet I'll have one tonight. So that's coming out. I might release that over the weekend. That's a great animation. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully it'll help you see some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about. And we sort of see the manifestation of things like hierarchy with this idea of piracy, because obviously after last week and the Kairos that is here, you can already see that things are chaotic and breaking down. Like people are just making weird claims. We'll say on both sides. Why are we on sides still? I don't understand. To just like people are in delusional land. On pro and against, right? Pro against killing? No, that no one's delusional about that. Some people don't care. Might be they might be dangerous. Uh, but I think we're seeing cases where, yeah, some people shouldn't be allowed to speak because they're inherently incapable of acknowledging and believing a, we'll say, independently observable truth claim. They can't do it. And I think people are starting to catch on, kinda. I know Tim Pool's gone all the way, right? And I keep saying, "Yes, Tim, these people are that bad. What do we do to integrate them?" We'll see if he catches on. No, no, this I agree with you. Now what? Right, because the implications are vast, right? Or avast if you're a pirate. And so what I wanna do is sort of try to tie in this pirate thing with what's going on and why it's important. So at one point, Tucker Carlson was talking about Charlie Kirk, and he lost not all of his donors, but some of his donors were very unhappy with him, and they withdrew their $2 million of potential donation. Okay, we're not dealing with YouTuber like me. Like, if I had a $2 million donation, first of all, I'd have a YouTube studio, which I have plans for, but no cash to implement. Um, yeah, that's just one of his donors, right? So we're not talking about, if citizen journalist, anyone can do this. No, no, they really can't. There aren't going to be 100 rising up in his stead. That's not going to happen. First of all, the market's only so big. It's can only support one anyway. And now, if you do that, not a great plan. It's not a good idea. I don't know what to tell you. But it was a form of rebellion. But what was it rebelling against? It's rebelling against the world order in favor of words. Okay. I like words. I'm very good with words, right? If words were the thing, y'all would be in trouble because I'd win. And I mean that technically. I have a huge vocabulary. I know how to wield it. Pretty logical. A lot of the people who say logic is the way, logic is horrible, horrible, horrible. They'll flat out go, well, it's a paradox. All right. If it's a paradox and you think logic is the thing, you have two problems. It's like, good job. Now you've made two problems. So, and same with contradiction, right? Well, it's a contradiction, but logic is important. And I'm like, all right, now you have two problems, not one. Good job. And they don't know. To be fair, they don't know. Or they'll, what's the really real? It's like, oh my goodness. Now you have an infinite number of problems. Well done. And this is the world we're in. Like, everyone's playing this stupid game of words and they're not good at it. They suck at words. They suck at logic. Their rationality is non-existent. And the extent to which that is true and how many people that's true for and how many of them are on the internet is what we're discovering in some sense. Right? And that's important to realize, right? Is that when you try to put the margin, pirates, privateers, in the center, you end up, messing up the world. And the internet does that, or at least allows that to happen if we don't regulate it. So, right. And everyone's like, well, there's conservatives. None of the people you hear broadcasting are conservatives. Conservatives have not been broadcasting anything for like 20 years. They're all hiding. I know conservatives. I know that they're hiding. I've talked to them. They're just waiting for people to come to the conclusion that they need regulation again, and then they'll come in and regulate because they can, and no one else can. Not moderates. Moderates can't regulate to save their ever-loving souls. Moderates can agree to and uphold regulation, but they can't make regulation because they can't draw lines very well, right? Sally Joe, psychic space dragons are forecasted for the foreseeable future. Well, yes, there's lots of psychic space dragons. Yeah, people are playing very fast and loose with definitions lately. Very fast, very loose. What was Charlie Kirk? What did he do? Well, I know, but I ain't saying on YouTube. So it's not what you think. That's for sure. So, yeah, he was a pirate, right? But he was really a privateer because he was let into the upper class. And that's the thing about pirates. Piracy, it turns out, piracy is very old, right? Piracy has been with us in ancient Greece rather, right? The Vikings, basically pirates. The Barbary Coast goes way back. People don't realize how far back it goes. It goes way back. And the pirates operate in the middle ground in the hierarchy, right? Depending upon which perspective you hold, let's suppose you now let me be clear. You can't hold all of these perspectives. You can only hold one ever with respect to hierarchy, which is the one you're in. You can't ever hold another hierarchical perspective, right? You might be able to kind of sort of understand part of a perspective you're not in, but that's about it. And perspectives lower than you, it's easier for you to understand because you just have to delete stuff from your perspective. Perspectives higher than you, very hard for you to understand because you have to add stuff, which if you could add it, you'd be in there, right? So, like, no, just to be clear, no. Okay. But if you think of it in terms of hierarchy, the pirates play the middle ground because if you're elite and you look down, they are still villains. They might be useful villains. Your way to integrate the villains might be to say, hey, you know what? Let's just have the villainy not on us, but instead on the people we're at war with. Bingo. Privateers. We'll let you into the hierarchy. We'll give you, I don't know how do I want to say this? We'll give you elite gold from above if you stop attacking us and attack them. Now, of course, you're stealing their elite gold, but hey, elite gold to a pirate. He didn't care. Privateers are born. From the bottom, they're heroes. Why? Because they are technically bucking the system. They're breaking the hierarchy. They're upending order. Well, you're not supposed to even be able to attack these Spanish galleons. You're just a lowly old ragtag crew of people who otherwise are unemployable for the most part. Not entirely. I know there's exceptions to every rule. You know how I know it's a rule? Because it has exceptions. If you come to me and say, that rule's not true, it has exceptions, I will probably be polite to you, but really, it's a pat on the head and say, there, Timmy. Go back to playing with your Legos. I promise you that's what's going on inside my head. Don't be dumb. I know there are exceptions to everything. I'm well aware. And the fact that you would use them to disprove something inappropriately, because there are appropriate times, just means I think less of you. But you do you. So, depending upon where you are, the pirates look different. Pirates and Robin Hood are the same pattern. One's on land and one's on water. Right? Robin Hood's justified. Privateers are justified. Robin Hood's justified by an injustice. He never upends the hierarchy. He operates within the hierarchy. Where can I go to be affecting my kingdom? Because it's his kingdom. Without destroying the hierarchy or upending the hierarchy, because I'm going to need that, because kingdoms need hierarchies. I can go to the middle ground, to the woods, and I can become a bandit. Pirates are the same thing. I can go to the middle ground. I can become a bandit. I can make up a set of rules. A lot is made in pirate lore about how the ships are democratic. How do I want to express this? What really silly, careful? No, largely not. And the reason why things may be given a vote, but also not be democratic at the same time, is this little tricky thing called inequality, which just happens to be everywhere. Weird. Somebody who knows how to lead people cannot be replaced by somebody who does not. Now, there's obviously an edge case, we would call it, or an exception here for people who have the ability to lead but have not yet proven it. Duh, that's called change over time. That's also called like the world and reality and how everything works, but whatever. We'll just skip over that part. Um, the thing is that you can give people a democratic vote all you want. And the way people do it with children is they say, okay, you can have an ice cream if you first clean your room to my satisfaction. Or you can go without ice cream. Hell of a choice. And because most people can only hold two options in their head, thus the binary thinking, which I have a video on. I have a video on binary thinking. You should check it out. They get fooled. Because now they have a choice. They didn't have one before. Because when your options are everything, you don't actually have a choice. Right. So the democracy thing is quite tricky, and you will be manipulated by democracy. The ancient Greeks knew this. They wrote about it. I don't know why we didn't take them seriously. Plato talked about it in the Republic, but everybody tells me they read that book. I don't think they did, or at least they didn't comprehend it very well. The middle of book 8, which I also have a video on, is quite telling about democracy in particular. So the pirates weren't necessarily democratic in the way you might romantically imagine, because that didn't happen. After all, who's in charge of tallying the vote? Who's in charge of implementing the will of the voters? Ah, that's always the trick with these people. Now you need a trick. So they had to do that. Also, they did that, and they will continue doing it because you will continue needing it because you're stupid. Sorry. You're a Muppet. I'm a Muppet. We're all Muppets. It's fine. Relax. We're all pirate Muppets today. And this privateering thing starts up in the 1500s, right? It's a state sanctioned way to expand the navies, right? Which is the age of big corporation. You may think that's now because there's such huge corporations. These corporations are nothing. Let me introduce you to the East India Company, the largest company in the world, so large. I believe the top 5 companies today don't compare. They had a private army larger than most other countries. Also run by an extremely small number of people. Like, right? Because it's all contractors. So there's some core people, some contractors, and everybody else is just sort of, I mean, they're all paid, but they don't have any benefits. There's no benefits back then. So these big corporations are so big that they can help the navies of the countries they are incorporated within. Age of big corporations, which is over, thankfully. Nobody wants to go back to that, believe me. That's how you get America. But like, we can't do that again. Those conditions only happened once. They're not going to happen again. And privateering was abolished by the Paris Declaration. Of course, it's always freaking Paris. It's always France, somewhere. Versailles, Paris, cesspool, same thing. And this is because the major powers agreed to end legalized private maritime warfare and rely solely on regular state navies. Isn't that interesting? And thus, the modern military is born from the ashes of the age of big corporations. Now, the age of big corporations is happening within the age of Gnosis, but maybe I'll cover that more later. What do we learn from pirates? What's the lesson in pirates? This was highlighted for me last night in particular. It's a lovely event. Lovely event. Those guys were great. It was really cool talking to them too. Fellow history buffs and all. Well, if you want to be free, you need to be violent. And you're probably going to meet a violent end. Does that ring any bells? Does it look familiar? Maybe that happened recently. Somebody wanted free speech and it ended in violence because, to be fair, those people told you for years words are violence. You should have believed them. Now, the appropriate response was to lock them up so that they were safely out of polite society. We'll be talking more about that on September 24th with Professor Rachel Fulton Brown. For sure, that will come up. For sure. I have the thumbnail for that talk. I got to get that scheduled on the books. She's already scheduled. She scheduled a long time ago, but I got to get it like set up in the thing, in the StreamYards. So yeah, this violence, that's the cost of freedom. And that's because the further you are, the less constrained you are, the more things that are out to get you, the more violence there is in the world, like just as a mathematical certainty at some point, right? The more ordered things are, if nothing else, it's easier to control the violence. And then you see this, I know I've talked about this before, but, and the link is on the Mark of Wisdom Discord server if you ever happen over there. I asked the AI to compare and contrast war before and after the Protestant Reformation. That's all I asked it to do. I didn't know what it would find or what it should find or anything. I just like, hey, can you tell me about this? The results are not promising, but perhaps should have been expected. At least not promising for, we'll say, any redeeming value in the Protestant Reformation. Certainly, that theme came out quite clearly. Wars are larger, more people are killed, and large wars are happening more often. And it gave a bunch of, reasons for that, which I found fascinating because I'm like, well, that's much worse than I would have thought, even if I was being really negative about the whole thing. But I was just asking, like, I wonder what the AI can do today. And the document of the response is up somewhere. I think actually I can still query that. I think that was Notebook LM, which is a wonderful, wonderful research tool. The interesting thing in my pirate research, and thanks to RJ, who kind of produced this topic to some extent, although had to throw out the ChatGPT stuff, bro, because ChatGPT sucks, especially about pirates. It mentions, though, in the research, in order to scale piracy, the pirates had to adopt hierarchies. In other words, it's the only way scale works. So when you hear these people talking about, well, we have this system, but we don't know how to scale it. Okay. Notice that none of them like hierarchy. They're all rebels. They all are, rallying against some hierarchy or other, or some structure or other. All of them, with zero exceptions, which would be really weird if, of course, right? Of course, that's what it is. That's why they don't know how to scale things, because scaling requires hierarchy, with no exceptions in all cases. You want to be a city? You're going to need a hierarchy. But a city is just a bunch of people. No. What's the difference between a city, a town, and a village? What's the difference between New York City and all but a handful of other cities? Megapolis, anyone? Or perhaps you prefer the Snow Crash version of this, Neil Stephenson's wonderful book. If you haven't read Snow Crash, man, you gotta read Snow Crash. It's fantastic. BAMA, the Boston, Atlanta metropolitan area. That's my favorite So I remember it because I love that idea. I mean, it's a horrific nightmare, don't get me wrong, but also having driven up the coast several times, it's not that near to being true, but it's interesting. Uh, yeah, if you want like city sprawl, Massachusetts has city sprawl. Lots of smaller cities. Boston's tiny. You can walk Boston in a day. Um, but cities everywhere, Boston to Lowell, 30 miles. Uh, Boston to Marlborough, where I used to live, 30 miles. Boston to Worcester, what's that? 50 miles, right? Springfield, all those cities are very close to get down south. They're all 2 hours apart. You want to the next city? It's 2 hours away. I'm right between Camden and Columbia, so neither of those is 2 hours away. But if I want to get to the airport in Charlotte, that's an hour and a half. And if I want to get down to Charleston, that's a couple hours. So scale requires hierarchy. It's not just a group of people. Camden, which is a lovely place, Camden, South Carolina, is beautiful. Um, is not just a smaller version of Columbia with fewer people. That's not what it is, or a much smaller version of Charleston without a coastline. It's not what it is. Can't count cities in people and expect to understand how a city works, because that same number of people might be in something that's not a city. Framingham, Massachusetts, until recently was not a city, it was a town, because towns and city designations in the United States are around governance and have nothing to do with size. Although when you reach a certain size, it's a lot easier to run it as a city than it is as a town or a town hall. Mayors, one form of hierarchy that works well at a certain scale. It may also work at smaller scales, but it works less well at smaller scales. You know that because if you engage with literature, particularly about the South, you will find the corrupt mayors are everywhere. And in a town hall, that's a little harder to do. And the thing is, when we look at pirates, we see this class divide. We see at the bottom, pirates, the privateers, they're Robin Hood. And at the top, they're threats to trade, not to wealth. This is one of the problems. You always know when you're dealing with the low IQ people, no matter how high their quote IQ is, when they start talking about, oh, the elites think you're a threat. Okay. I know the elites, they don't think about you at all, much less the alleged threat. I'm sorry. To the extent they can see you at all, they may see you as a threat to trade. They may see you as a threat to order. They may see you as a threat to structure, because it takes very few people to destroy what it takes very many people to build. But they don't think you're a threat to their power, which, to be fair, is often, their downfall. Of course, their downfall is so rare that you shouldn't be counting on that, because if you are, now we're into the negative IQ. That doesn't even work mathematically. And it's fair if you don't know why, it's just you're not measuring all the failures. There's a lot of failures in things like revolutions and overthrows and things like there's a lot of failure there. Pirates try to get together several times, and they just can't manage it. And it's not because the powers that be, right? I'm not saying the powers that be didn't go after them. When they were a threat to trade, the rules changed. And when they broke those rules, they got hanged. Sorry. Not all of them. Some of them retired. Some of them apparently faked their death. If you believe certain stories that were told in Camden, South Carolina last night. It all depends. This is why you have to look at things two ways. What happens on balance and what are the exceptions? The exceptions tell you the edges. The unbalance tells you what's going to happen to you, dumbass. Very important. Pirates die a violent, nasty death. Are you sure you want to be a rebel? Robin Hood was nobility, which is how he was able to get away with it. Are you nobility? Then you're not going to be able to get away with it. Does that suck? Everything sucks. Wake up. It'll be fine. People have had worse conditions than you for thousands of years, and they built electricity and computers and the internet. And all you want to do is cry. Fantastic. And that's really where we're at. We're at the crying part. It's not where we should be at. The pirates are rebels, unnecessary rebels, unwanted and unneeded rebels. Good stuff, Ninja. Good to see you. I hope you are well, man. Yon God, did Julius Caesar get Epsteined by pirates? Why? Why are you doing this to me today, Yon God? Can't you be a good little pirate? Our modern pirates are software hackers and media stealers. And in the digital age, it's no wonder they took on the name of pirate. That happened a very long time ago. 70s, 80s, somewhere in that range. These digital criminals, if you will, they weren't mere hackers, we'll say, although hacker is a much maligned and misunderstood term, to be sure. They weren't necessarily doing it out of ideology either, although they may claim that as cover. Excuse me. The digital criminals were often doing stuff because they could, and it made them feel free, and it made them feel empowered. And after all, it was only fair. If you send something out over the airwaves, anybody can get it. If you send something out over the internet, anyone can get it. Not so straightforward to understand. If you ship something across the ocean into international waters, anyone can get it. So that piracy pattern, aptly named for people who used to steal software and songs and video and source code, although source code was typically called hackers. Perfect name. The digital ocean is here. The digital ocean is everywhere. And so we have digital pirates. And maybe there's nothing wrong with digital pirates. I don't have a comment on that. Although I might have myself retired from piracy at the age of 16 because everybody knew after that you could actually get thrown in jail. The digital pirates often used the pirate banners for what they were doing. They knew what pattern they were in, they knew what they were following. Do you know what pattern you're following? You think you're just outside all of them, like you're the first man or something, or first woman? I rather tend to think not. And that's not to say you're only following one or two patterns. The Fall of the Fourth Estate, a wonderful video on navigating patterns, is pretty clear about what's happening. Why did free speech suddenly become an issue when it wasn't, we'll say, 30 years ago? Not in the same way. All the free speech issues were around marches and what you could display where. And now all the free speech issues are around what you can actually speak of. How very, very strange. It's almost as if the fourth estate fell, created a vacuum, and that vacuum is being filled. And because those people don't have institutional power behind them, another way to think about institutional power, which is a dumb way to talk, by the way, is to say structural recognition. Now, I know about this because any structure that is recognized automatically has some degree of what people are referring to as power. I'm not going to get into my definition of power. I have a video for that, of course, on navigating patterns. It's rather old, but it's rather good. But power in the way people talk about it. As a consultant, I could mostly go anywhere I wanted in the companies I was in. Why? Because the institution that I was working with and for, and usually I was a subcontractor, so very sketchy indeed, uh, had acknowledgement from the company that we were doing business with. And therefore, the authority of that agreement was conveyed down to me. That's how hierarchy works. It gave me nice broad access to most things in any of the companies I went to. After all, I'm there to fix a problem. If I don't have access to your systems, I can't fix a problem. Isn't that interesting? That's how hierarchy works. Pirates relied on their reputation for force. They didn't often have to fire their cannons. They could just raise a flag, board a ship, take some stuff, and leave. That was the most common. That was the rule. Sometimes they'd take whole ships. That was actually more of a problem than just taking the cargo and leaving, by the way. Right. Because that endangered trade. Because even if it's a Spanish galleon, you want those galleons on the sea because you want the trade network to run. Because wealth requires the trade network. People don't account for these things. Mainly because they're dumb and they can't, and they don't know about them because they know about other things instead. It's when we go and start commenting on things we know nothing about that we run into trouble. We get confused. My friend, Pastor Paul Vanderklay, often got confused. I've talked to him about this before. He likened Jordan Peterson, who, of course, I'm a big fan of, and Paul has lots of critique videos on her, so I've heard. I've never watched one of them, and I likely never will. He likened him to Billy Graham. Now, I did a little bit of research on Billy Graham. Also, I remember Billy Graham when I was growing up. I don't see the overlap. But if my world were Paul Vanderklay's world, where, power is priestly class, like he's a pastor, right? That's priestly class stuff. We can argue whether or not it's low grade, cheap knockoff priestly class stuff or whatever, but it's priestly class stuff. From their perspective, I can see why the closest analog is Christian evangelization. Because it's easy to, we'll say, take the low IQ route to say, well, anything that gets somebody into a church is evangelization. I mean, if that's your definition, lots of things are evangelization because people go to church randomly. And I'm sure Pastor Paul, because I have actually poked at this with him, doesn't have a better model. And so that's the closest analog, is the technical term, analogy, analog, that he can come up with. But he went through that whole phase. I haven't heard him back off that. Of course, I don't follow him all that closely. That's the best they can do. And this idea, why did my camera fall down? This idea of the best you can do shows up everywhere, but people aren't paying attention. They're starting to pay attention, right? Tim Pool, Shoe on Head had a wonderful video. It's an important video. It's on the Mark Wisdom Discord server if you want to see it. All these people are coming to this conclusion that, well, people that I've known my whole life are not rational. The facts don't seem to affect them. Wait a minute. If they're treating Charlie Kirk this way, and I hold similar, if not identical views, because you're all moderates, by the way, how would they feel about me if they knew? And then you're realizing there's no way for you to convince them. Right. This is why the left is the left, and the moderates are the moderates. Where are the missing conservatives? To some extent, that might be a good question. Although, again, I do know where they are and why they're there. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. You were still thinking of left and right. You're not prepared for the truth. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth, as they say. Great film. Always used to stop whatever I was doing to watch that film when it was on TV. The problem is that we're not recognizing people's limitations. If you seriously don't understand the difference between being fired for doing something that is against your contract, being fired for lying in public as part of your job, and telling a joke to your friends 10 years ago and being fired, if you can't tell that those two things are different, and there are a lot of people, it seems, who can't, we got problems. And we need to find a way to deal with those problems. Piracy can't fix that. At least not as we're implementing it now. On a pirate ship, you could fix that if you were under a captain. But in something like, oh, what's a good term for this? A flotilla, there is no captain. You're not scaling anything. You're just creating a bunch of people who are going to stew in and feel emboldened by, because they're in a flotilla after all, their bad ideas. Those bad ideas are going to get worse, not better. They're going to get worse in all cases, because those people are alone in their flotilla, if you will. And they're going to degrade over time. And maybe, Denise, that's going to look like a cult. Unplanned though it may be the side effect of a dream of individualism. A dream that the age of gnosis propositions as knowledge, and knowledge is the highest value, could manifest. And here's the evidence, after all. Look at all these flotilla people who went to church again. That's the problem. That's the problem. Really, Billy Graham, totally different planet from Peterson. I know. Some people can't see that. Some people have very flat perspectives on the world. They may be geniuses, because Pastor Paul, if nothing else, is a very smart man. Very smart. But they have flat worlds nonetheless. Graham, emotional showmanship. Peterson, intellectual gamesmanship. Agreed. Also, age of gnosis, right? Where we're shifting, in a sense, away from the old way of understanding what moves the world into, well, really back into, don't get me started about the myth of World War II, back into knowledge, age of gnosis as the value, right? So for a while, the value wasn't just the knowledge. Because when the value is the knowledge, it's the intellectual class, and then you get the empathy from afar problem, which is an article I wrote on Substack, by the way. Might want to check it out. But that's a different issue. But yes, the person moving the culture, although Peterson can't move the culture the way Billy Graham did. I mean, Billy Graham was the pastor to every president, right? Like Peterson can't occupy that position at all, and not due to, we'll say, personal capability, right? It has to do with something else, the missing thing that everyone's missing when they start talking about how the world works. It's like the actual mechanism of the world working, right? And people don't understand that, but of course you do. Well, at least you understand part of it. So does PVK understand the flotilla lesson from Snow Crash? I doubt it. Snow Crash is a brilliant book. I really love Snow Crash. It takes 52 or 54 pages to get going, but once you hit that page, and you'll know it when you read it, bang, you're off to the races. Such a wonderful text. Yeah. I think PVK's LARP handlers fed him that meme. No, I mean, all this comes from one sorcerer. That's the bottom line. One sorcerer destroys the world. And yeah. One sorcerer. And that's the thing. One sorcerer can enchant very many people. And it's why, on average, you got to be careful of ex-convict drug addicts. You just got to be careful with them. Right? You got to be careful with people who don't have a family or have a broken family, right? Whether they broke it themselves or they were, born into a broken family. Heaven forfend it's both, because if you were born into a broken family, your father left, your mother left, or whatever, and then you started a family, or at least had a child, and then abandoned that child, that's like errors on top of errors. Right. That's like the guy who runs 3 different companies into the ground in a row. I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't hire him to be the CEO, right? Like it's not that hard. But on average, when you have people like that, it's a problem. And if they're using subliminal message tactics that are well known and well documented, but no one ever reads about this stuff because people are dumb and they're lazy and they don't do the research, you can go a long way with that. Now, that will result in a cult. It's just not planned. It's not deliberate. It's not rational and rationalized. Chaos people don't care. They'll just spread the chaos and keep going because there's no point in trying to organize it anyway. Sally Joe, the blatant refusal to lead while wearing a leadership hat is a crime against decency. Well, I would say humanity, but yeah, it is. Whenever you gather people to you and you fail to lead, that is a problem. Because somebody will lead them. Or they'll try to lead themselves, which obviously that is also a problem. And this is the problem of pirates. You can see this pattern in the pirates. They try to lead themselves. It doesn't really work. Lots of betrayal, lots of backstabbing, lots of all of the usual stuff that you would expect to see in poor or weak leadership. And leadership needs hierarchy to support it. Without a hierarchy, you're going to run into a problem. You're just going to run into a problem. You need structure, and structure will manifest. It's just most structures are occult or cult structures. They are. Like, I'm sorry. It's just a math problem at some level. Good stuff, Ninja. Grok and I had a lot of fun with that book, Zuckerberg Modeling Meta on Snow Crash, and Musk modeling XAI on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Patterns are real. They don't have to do that deliberately. Those patterns are going to play out. This is what always shocks me with patterns. I'm like, really? You guys don't see this? Because it's here, here, and here, and here, and here. No one sees it? But people don't see patterns. And we're living in a lack of people not being able to see patterns. If you can't see patterns, you're technically unprincipled. And if you will never be able to see patterns, and there are some people out there like that, and I don't know how many, and neither do you. And neither does anybody else, most likely, because they're not even measuring such things. We still need to account for them. If somebody seriously doesn't see the difference between the firing of Jimmy Kimmel and the firing of a comedian who made a joke 10 years before he gets fired, but he's getting fired for making that joke, that person should not be in polite society. All firings are not canceling. That's why it wasn't called firing. It really isn't that hard. I don't know why people are confused. They made up a new word for it because it was a new phenomena. It wasn't, I got fired for disobeying my superiors, lying in an industry where I'm supposed to be trustworthy, or at least not causing libel lawsuits for my employers. That's always a plus, right? Oh, doing something that deliberately harms the company I work for. Yeah, those are legitimate reasons for firing. Incompetence, unwillingness to negotiate. These are all valid reasons to fire people. No one calls that canceling. And if you do, you have a mental illness. No, really. You should take that seriously. And that's what people like me have been saying for 15 plus years. There are a lot of people with mental illnesses making a lot of noise and in very visible places. And you do not want to hold the mentally ill up because people will look up to them. And the next thing you know, you've got a flotilla with no agency, or so they're being told. Sometimes subliminally, do they even know that? And then they're agreeing to mind control, but you get half off if the dice go your way. What a bargain. That's patterns, baby. Those patterns are going to manifest. No one planned that. Doesn't matter. The result's going to be the same as if somebody planned it. This is why conspiracy theories work. It's easy to prove they faked the moon landing. They didn't, though. It's also 10 seconds to disprove the nonsense that those people are spewing out. Look, I talked about this before. I got fooled by that. There was one show I was watching, and they got me. They got me good. They said, shadows are always perfectly parallel. And here in this picture, they're not. And of course, that first part is a lie. And if you don't understand that it's a lie, fair enough. Like, I didn't even think of it. I went, of course, because I was logicking my way through the show, right? And the way I found out they were wrong was they said, look at these pictures taken from the moon. There are no stars in the background. Now, among other things, I am an amateur photographer. So of course there are no stars in the background, you retard. Do you not know how to use a camera? There wouldn't be stars in the background. Do you know how hard it would be to get the stars in the background from the moon? I do, actually. It's hard to get stars in the night sky from Earth with cameras like that. With film cameras, what are you, high? In fact, it's famous for not being able to be done without a moving camera, because you have to keep the camera so still because you need the aperture time. So that's how I figured out. Thankfully, obviously the show wasn't over. Wait, these guys are full of shit. They're lying. Oh, okay. Of course the moon landing wasn't fake. I mean, they had a bunch of good stuff, to be sure, because you can put together a set of facts to match any thesis. It's not that hard. I will do a video on that someday. Every once in a while I get close, and then it all goes away. Like, I get the vision of how I'm going to put that together, and it vanishes. Believe me, you see 10% of the videos I want to make. Yeah, so many, because I see so much stuff all the time. I was like, oh, I want to show people this and this and this and this way, and now I know how to do it. And then I can't. Not enough energy, not enough memory. There's so much. I get flooded out. Oh, wait a minute. Sally Joe. Yep. Being vulnerable does not make you harmless or good. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Being publicly vulnerable is super dangerous because people will try to get you. Right? And that's why there's like the well of lost boys. And the vultures pick around the edge of the well of Lost Boys. Yes, they do. Sally Joe, psychic space dragons plan the moon landing, and they plan to fake the faked one too. You might be right, Sally. I wasn't there, so I don't know, but it's possible. Good stuff, Ninja. They never fooled me because my dad worked in the space program as a machinist. I got to tour the plant when they built the capsules. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah. If you want an experiment in, is knowledge forever? Can you kill an idea? Of course you can. It's been done many times in history. You just don't know history very well. You're kind of stupid. You probably need a Muppet mug to remind yourself, right? Which you can buy at shop.markofwisdom.org, by the way. And you should buy many. Just look into the technology we used to do the moon landing and listen to all the people say we don't have that anymore. We did it once and we can't do it again. That is correct. And to the extent that we could do it again, it won't resemble the way we did it last time. And you could argue maybe that's for the better, although I would argue that's probably for the worse, because NASA, believe it or not, they have something like a 98.6 bug-free rate on their software, which is so much higher than any other organization in the history of the universe that it's astounding. And part of that is because they thought for the long term, they froze their hardware early, right? And infrequently. And then they just worked on the code and tested it thoroughly and wrote it correctly because it's not that hard. Of course, it's hard for dumb people, and most people are dumb. Different problem. But yeah, they have like their source code's amazing. I'm surprised. As far as I know, no one's trained on their source code. I'm like, why don't you train the AI on the NASA source code since it has such a high bug-free rate? Might not be a bad plan, guys. It's all open source. Like it's all available. We paid for it. So yeah, I don't know. These are the things that if I had money, I could fix. Good stuff, Ninja. My dad was still beating computers with his wooden slide rule at age 92. People don't realize slide rules are pretty cool things. We got to the moon without computers in the process because all their computers were for orbit planning and not manufacturing. Wow, that's partly true. Yeah, but like the computer that does that did the navigation, that had its own language, navigational language that they wrote for the astronauts to use, and it had like a panel with little buttons on it, and you had to, yeah, punch in the navigation that way. It was pretty cool. I was like, oh man, this is super complex. This is great. Whoever came up with that's a genius. But we had the ivory tower back then. I have a video about this, about the fall of academia, roughly speaking, right? The ivory tower protected these people so they could become really highly specialized at one thing. And then they wouldn't go blabbing their mouth about politics because they don't really understand politics. Looking at you, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and pretty much everybody else who talks about politics. Also, the United States version of politics is stupid, and most people, like, if you combine all the registered Democrats, all the registered Republicans, they don't equal the most registered bucket, which is independent. Oops. And everyone's talking about left and right, Democrats and Republicans this whole time, not understanding that that's got to be really dumb and can't map to reality. But, whatever. We got to the moon with old style tech. Well, they used some new tech. They needed some computers for some of the fine navigation, but in a way, like especially back then, like this is the funny part. AI broke computers. Like computer theory doesn't work with AI because AI is not deterministic. It's not give it the same inputs, get the same outputs every time, which is the whole purpose of computers. Like they're just big automation machines. So because there's a lot of calculation in navigation, only if you need precise navigation, by the way. If you need imprecise navigation, like a sailing ship, there's no calculation involved, actually. Or building a cathedral. You don't need any calculation to build a cathedral. They didn't have trigonometry. They weren't using algebra when they built cathedrals. Sorry, math guys, but math is not as useful as you think. Like if you need precise navigation at that level, and you do because you need to worry about angle of ascent and angle of descent and things like that, within very small tolerances for relatively small objects interfacing with relatively large objects or spaces. Computers are perfect for that, man. That's what they do. But yeah, if you're on a boat, you don't need anything like that. You can, in fact, they had a problem early on. My buddy was telling me this. So when they first did the maps with GPS coordinates, the navigational aid maps, they put the GPS coordinates to the buoys on the maps so that you could go right to a buoy, which is very handy. I mean, some buoys you don't want to drive towards, right? But many buoys you do. Right? Many buoys are there for navigation, and you want to be able to see them. So punching in that convenient number, not a bad idea. Well, they had to stop doing that because people kept punching in that number, running over the buoys and destroying buoys on the water. So precise navigation is not a plus on a boat, with some exceptions. But the thing is, you can usually gain precision. So on a boat in particular, you can gain precision by reducing speed. Dun, dun, dun. It's almost like it's a trade-off or something. Another video I have on navigating patterns. And that trade-off is what we're not acknowledging. You want to be able to go to rallies and talk and say whatever you want and display whatever signs you want. Well, there's a trade-off for that. And maybe even if in some ideal world that shouldn't have any repercussions or consequences, what are we asking for freedom from? Consequences and constraint, it seems. The real world, all actions have consequences. And all actions have unintended consequences. That's why most conspiracy theories are wrong, because actions have unintended consequences. And it's the unintended consequences that people are really whining about. It's that set of consequences that you don't understand. You try to integrate the pirate into polite society by making him a privateer. A few of them make it in. They get wealthy, they get status, their families rise, maybe they go into politics, whatever. Maybe they just stay merchants forever. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But a bunch of them end up not being able to keep the pardon or to keep their promise in the pardon not to attack or not to attack the wrong targets. And then they get hanged. Trade-offs. So maybe you can be integrated into polite society. Maybe you can even go into the elite class. But the reason why you're not there is A, because you're not there, and B, because you're not worthy. Sorry. And maybe you want to be, or you want to have been, or you think like this one little thing. You think the reason why they're not letting me in is because they know I'm better than them. That's called delusion. We are suffering from a lot of that. Maybe you see Christian evangelicals around every corner. Right? Maybe the next Billy Graham is whoever comes after Jordan Peterson, although I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe you think you're the one to pick up the mantle of Jordan Peterson, which I agree exists, but you don't even know what he did or how he did it. This is one of Peterson's better points, is talking about evil dictator mustache man, who was democratically elected twice, by the way. Democracy is not so great. Democracy bad. I don't know what to tell you. And how you don't appreciate all the work he put into being evil dictator man. There's a lot of effort there. There's a lot of study. A lot of discipline. Right. If you're not part of the elite and you want to be part of the elite, It's going to take the discipline that you don't have. Maybe Jocko Willink really cries out to you there. But it doesn't mean you can be part of the elite, even if you can do what Crazy Jocko does, although I doubt you could manage that. You're not going to be Elon Musk. You're not going to be a pirate. Certainly not a pirate captain like I am. You don't have the discipline. It's been going for a long time to pirate live stream. Lots of pirate live streams. Best thing that I learned yesterday in my sojourn to lovely Camden, South Carolina, was that in fact, there are excellent pirate caps out there, and I just have to buy one. I hope that you learned something too, particularly about hierarchy. If you would like to talk to me live on camera, everyone has to be on camera, then please, there is the link. We can talk about pirates and hierarchy in particular, if you wish. Preferably that. I don't want to get too sidetracked. I rather like my topics when I come up with them, which is why I put all this effort into them. It's quite a bit of effort, actually. This cinnamon sunset tea that I had in Sunset Sweets in lovely South Dakota is quite good. I'm glad I was introduced to it in my journeys. Oh, Randu got here late. Well, I can't help you, sir. Like, if you're late for the live stream, I don't know what to tell you. Listen on 1.5 speed and catch up, I guess. I don't know. Sally Joe, lame pirate cap forever. Change is scary. This is a captain's hat. It's just not a pirate hat. I want a better hat. I will get one. I was told that I would get a link in a comment that would be to how to obtain a better pirate cap from somebody that had a better one. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. That'd be very exciting because I will probably try to obtain one if I feel bold. And I've had rather a good week, although, man, yesterday was a barn burner. What a busy day for me. I was just bang, 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 and off to Camden. Dinner at a lovely Mexican place that looked like it was fairly new, but right off the highway, and then right to the Camden little historical Revolutionary Center there. Nice little Revolutionary War history down here. I got to go to all the sites. I haven't been to Cowpens and Kings Mountain in 96. And I got to go to all those places and see all that. There's like a Civil War tunnel around here too, I believe, that I haven't seen. There's a lot I have to do. Maybe this fall I will I'll be able to do that. We'll see. Things are settling down a bit, so I might have a little bit more time, although October's busy because got to go to Ireland. Got to go to the wedding. But yeah, it's everything's a barn burner lately. And the age of pirates seems to be here. Like, piracy is on the rise, at least in the zeitgeist. But why we're seeing pirates everywhere, that's not great. That's not good. It's just more chaos, unfortunately. I wish it weren't. I really do. But also, the chaos is going to increase as people try to fix the problem using words, even though it should be abundantly clear by now that that isn't going to work. And a lot of people get confused. They say, but it had an effect. Okay, but everything has an effect. Not doing it also has an effect. And that's one of the problems, right? Orandu, if owning isn't buying, then piracy isn't theft. That doesn't make any sense. You can own lots of things without buying. I mean, that's an economic frame, and economics doesn't explain anything in the world. Um, Buying, what the hell does that mean? What about building? You own something that you build? I mean, that's how all the land transfer in the United States is based, right? Land improvement equals land ownership. Pirates and preppers seem kind of related. Well, yeah, they're both marginal characters. They're marginal characters. See, the problem we have now is that the margins are being lumped together as one thing that's fighting the center. Now that's impossible. It's just going to result in lots of violence and death at the bottom. This is why you see all these people. Like, there's a big argument online about who's a true conservative. And I'm like, this is really simple. If you're online, you're not conservative. I'm sorry. The conservatives wouldn't, and it's not that they're not on the internet. It's just they're not going to get into an argument with you because they know words don't work. They're not stupid. Like, they're aware that they're in control and they're waiting for things to die down because they're not stupid. That's why they're quiet. Also, they know you can't rule by words. They're not going to have a debate with you. It is like the people who, Fox News was right wing. I'm like, good Lord, you need to engage with actual right wing media, all of which is in print, except for PBS. There was nobody who was conservative ever got on TV, like almost ever. That's super rare. They don't believe in the power of TV, or at least they don't believe it's good. And they don't want that kind of power. They don't want the world to work that way because they know how dangerous it is. Everyone's got a voice. Even a good voice will get drowned out. More flotilla is bad. Like, they know that. Order is the way, and order will win over the flotilla. The flotilla will break apart in the waves every time. I don't know why this isn't obvious. It's all over literature. Like, these people need to read a book. Randu, buying isn't owning. I mean, it can be. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Good stuff, Ninja. Both survival oriented, not necessarily taking sides. I know. I mean, the pirates definitely take a side. Again, it's just different types of margin. And it's like, you can't mix preppers and pirates. Which isn't to say there aren't some pirates that might also be preppers, but largely no, because they're chaos agents who live for the adventure. When you live for adventure, you're not planning for the future because you don't believe in the future. You don't have that kind of hope for the future. The only hope you have for the future is more adventure. That's why most pirates didn't retire. And the ones that tried couldn't do it. Look up Jack Rackham and what happened to the two women that hooked up with him. Calico Jack. I mean, this is the problem. Like, people don't get it. There's lots of different marginal archetypes, if you will, or patterns that are being played out. They're all being lumped together, which, is dumb, but that's the world we're in. They're being lumped together and being set in opponent processing against the middle. Well, that's going to cause chaos forever until it stops. And you're not going to win. The flotilla never wins. It just drowns itself and takes people with it that are innocent. That's all that ever happens. This is a historical pattern over and over again. It's clear as day. I don't know what you're not reading or not watching for that matter. A lot of these people, man, like poor Vervaeke, like, bro, just watch Babylon 5, kid. Like, you'll get it. They figured it all out for you already. Don't watch season 5. It's terrible. Season 4 is hit or miss too, but watch Andromeda. Watch classic Star Trek. Like these questions are all answered there. You know, and they may not be satisfying, precise, accurate scientific answers, but they're the correct answers. And that's, you know, that's part of the problem. Sally Joe M. Cooper. The Wild Wild West and the high seas both have missing persons. Yeah. It's not the low seas or the calm west. That's right. That's right. It's the rebellion. Orandu, who actually buried the gold. Wouldn't the pirates just spend it? Yeah, they did. Of course they spent it. There's lots of buried pirate gold, though, still. Which is why if you go to the Outer Banks, don't try to take anything off the beach. If they see you, they're throwing you in jail. And I'm not joking. I was like, what the heck? Shells, old nails. Don't touch any of it. Don't touch any of it. There's Denise. Denise, you don't want to be that close to your camera, do you? There we go. A little bit better. I don't want to see just one big face. That would have been scary. How are you doing?
No, I didn't mean to do that. I'm relaxing because I'm having a major allergy season battle right now. So anyway, if I suddenly mute and put the avatar thing up, it's because I'm having to take some antihistamines.
You can do that. What do you take? Do you take
I missed what you were just saying about the beach because I was in the middle of clicking the link, and there's always a few seconds of nowhere.
Oh, the beach. If you go to the Outer Banks, if you go to the beaches in the Outer Banks, you can't take anything off the beach, like anything at all.
Outer Banks of where?
The Outer Banks in North Carolina, and what part of them in South Carolina?
Oh,
those beaches. Like they're really strict. They will actually throw you in jail. Because there's still pirate gold out there. Like people don't realize, like they didn't get all of it. It's still buried. There's buried treasure on Oak Island. They're still digging there.
Well, there's stuff like that out here. I don't know about any tight controls.
One of the famous pirates was in Galveston. So
yeah,
they were
Galveston.
In and around the entire
Corpus Christi has a pirate history, and then of course, if you go into Louisiana, you got Jean Lafitte, the famous French pirate that he was part of. He was either part of the American Revolutionary War or the other war that happened later.
Andrew Jackson came down and used him. And then
I guess at the War of 1812, he was part of that.
There's some
that gave us that wonderful song.
Yeah, they were telling us last night. There's some indication that he retired in Lincolnton, North Carolina. He faked his death and retired. So there's some historians that believe that. Yeah, they were telling that story last night. It was quite a nice little event. They were quite good. Everyone was dressed up in costume. It was really neat.
Yeah, we learned about him in grade school. It was part of it was funny. The nuns used to break away from the textbook history and go into all these other histories. And of course, anytime there was a Frenchman in it, they had to really make a big deal. So we enjoyed that.
Oh, really? They had to talk about Frenchmen in Massachusetts, huh? Weird.
Well, I went to a French parochial school. We had a half day in French language and a half day in English.
Yeah, I know. I'm from Massachusetts. I know.
Yes.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Massachusetts was
so much. It's crazy. Well, Yana, God, you can hate whoever you want. I don't care. Makes fun. Pirates don't plan for the future 100%. No, they don't. I mean, a lot of them left a good future. Like a lot of them were gentlemen and they left. They're like, I want to be a pirate. It's like, what? So yeah, people don't appreciate that pattern's already been played out and we know how it ends and it's not great. I mean, if that's how you want to end your life, that's fantastic. But if you could,
it's kind of the thing of living off the land, except they're living off the sea.
Right.
You know, it's like stepping away from whatever the civilized world of the moment is about.
You can't live off the sea because you can't build anything on the sea. And this, like a boat is a hole in the water into which one throws money, right? Unlike cultivated farmland, where once you put effort in, the amount of work it takes to get bounty out goes down over time and not up. Right. And then it goes back up. Right. But Like the initial
Yeah.
work is quite a bit, right? Or ranching or anything like that. And that relationship's just not available on the sea, right? And so when you look at the margins on land, and Sally Joe hinted at this earlier, versus the margins on sea, they're entirely different implementations and entirely different attractions too. They're both marginal, but they don't actually follow the same marginal pattern. But that's what we've been doing, is lumping things in together that don't belong together. Right.
Yeah,
Billy
but
Graham
also,
does not belong with Jordan Peterson. I'm sorry. There's just not
oh
that
no,
overlap.
absolutely, that's crazy. That's just crazy. But the whole pirate thing, there's also a question of the culture of living a seagoing lifestyle. Really, we don't know about that so much, probably since the last 200 years at least. But it's also the same as the old living off the land, which you can't do anymore, because as soon as you try to set up your whatever you've got a million government agents all over the place telling you don't have the right permits.
I mean, that's not
But
true
it's the
everywhere.
culture of knowing how to do it that used to exist back in like the 18 and 1700s.
Well,
They
yeah,
knew how to
it's
actually live on their boats and go from island to island.
yeah,
It wasn't the same as
we've
today.
lost all that engagement, right? We've lost all this personal engagement. And then they go, well, AI is coming for your job. And it's like, no, AI is only coming for your job if you're lazy and you have the kind of job that can be easily automated. But that just means you're
Yeah.
lazy and undisciplined. And then AI should get your job. And that's where you get the nightmare of Terminator and stuff from, like Skynet. It's like, or the Matrix. Right? It's like, well, you're seeing that because you're in that. But not everybody's in that. Just you're in that. Like the farmers aren't going to care. They're going to continue to farm because AI can't take the farming jobs away. So it's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sally Joe, I wish a herd of cattle was less like a pit in which you throw money in, cries and rancher. Well, lots of things like that. Ixnon, if only airship pirates weren't evil. Thank you, sir. Finally, someone goes after Sally instead of me. Exactly. I agree, Ixnon. If only airship pirates weren't evil. Sally would be happy. She figures if you're not touching the ground, they can't tax you, Denise. That's her thesis. I was like, no, they still tax you. They had people don't realize, there are multiple people who have put platforms or set up islands in the ocean and set up entire countries. And that experiment always fails for always exactly the same reasons. And people don't realize all these great ideas that you have been tried, and we know why they don't work. So.
Well, they've come across, there was recently some video of a submarine being gotten by the Coast Guard, and it was like some guys just built their own little stupid submarine. And I don't even know if they were actually smugglers or just crazy adventurers. But, and I had a friend who was really into this fantasy of going out and living on the Gulf in a houseboat. And I said, to get away from all the regulation. And I said, King, the water is more regulated than the land because the Coast Guard is everywhere. And on top of that, you do have the smuggler cartels. Right. And you have all kinds of, it's not.
Yeah, if you go into international waters, there are still pirates and they will get you. Yeah.
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 I would be afraid to just even have a normal yachting trip. I used to have a friend, we used to go sailing up around Massachusetts back in the 80s, but I wouldn't be as relaxed about it today. Up there maybe, but I wouldn't be as relaxed about it out on the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of Texas. I want to stay out of that fight. I'm calling it the Gulf of Texas. Yes.
Orlando,
that's my solution
the
to
idea that we're never getting the Matrix video. Orlando, that is not true. Jesse said you can try to tackle this on your own. I'm too busy. And I just have to get motivated. And after the book club, I have been tired. The 12 weeks, 12 rules for life, 6-week book club was a lot. And I've had a lot on my plate.
I gotta
But
go.
I will do the Matrix
Well,
video.
I'll see you later.
All right. See you, Denise. Good to see you. I will get to the Matrix video. I have to curate the message because it's just too long. Like there's too much there. And I was hoping to sort of Jesse had a great idea of putting it in like a course, but so we do the Matrix video and then do like a course thing. And I like that idea, but Jesse kiboshed it, and now he's super busy now that he's married and all that. And hopefully he's doing super well. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's just the problem is there's so much in the Matrix, and I never know how much you people can handle. Because the number of people that, like, even online now, the number of people that I'm like saying, guys, hello, right? And they're just not, it's going right over their heads. And you try to talk to even somebody really smart like Vanderklay, and just, and even now that it's like bad things are manifest, they still don't see it, right? And so I'm like, well, if you can't see that, what of the Matrix conundrum, because the Matrix is a conundrum, do you not see? How many of the contradictions? Like, the machines control both worlds. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what people think of that movie. I'm like, are you sure you watched the same film? So it's always hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell what to do and how to present it is, a bigger problem. Sally Joe, the Borderlands are for the dog-headed and not just whomever. That's right. If you go to the Borderlands and you're not careful, you'll stray too close to the Indian reservation. And yeah. John got the Wachowski siblings. Yeah. Well, Jesse sent me the most disturbing story, perhaps, that I've read in a long time about the Wachowskis and the Matrix. And yeah. Sally Joe, because seriously, people go missing. Yeah, they do. They go missing. Denise has to take more antihistamines. Well, I hope you feel better. By the way, Denise, if you take antihistamines, there's a little supplement called Huperzine A. And if you take that with the antihistamines, it should alleviate any brain fog from the antihistamines. I have been using this trick for years. I invented it. So if you hear about it, I did it first. I also told the world-class gastroenterologist about it because that's what she was prescribing me, antihistamines, to fix my stomach symptoms a billion years ago. She saved my life for sure. Like she was the best doctor ever. But yeah, I stumbled across this Huperzine A thing and I looked at it and I said, well, the mechanism of action is totally wrong. And I don't think this can possibly work, but let's try it. And it totally worked. And I was like, well, I don't know how this works, but it works. Great theory. So yeah, if you're taking antihistamines, that's a little tip for your antihistamines. It's a cheap supplement too. I have a big bottle of it. I take it occasionally when I'm taking 3 Allegra, like I did. I think last week I had to do that. Yeah, last week I doped myself up for the stream because I was not on form, and I was like, "We're gonna need some super drugs. Let's do this." Yeah. Yeah. Also, things like Allegra, you can take triple the dose on the bottle. Not that I'm recommending that. I'm just saying it's not toxic. Of course, I have to triple my dose of Huperzine A when I do that. But yeah, it works pretty well if you have brain fog. And the reason why you have brain fog is because the H2 receptor binders for allergies themselves, but also the things that cure allergies, that's partly how they cure it, is by binding the H2 receptors. That's the second gen stuff like cetirizine and fexofenadine and ranitidine's the stomach one, and I forget the other. I can never remember all of them at once. I only remember 2 out of 3. Those are all H2 binder receptors, receptor binders rather. They also bind to acetylcholine. And Huperzine A is an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, which means it inhibits the thing that kills acetylcholine. So you take the Huperzine A, you have more acetylcholine, that takes care of the brain fog because your brain fog is a acetylcholine problem. There you go. That's how it works. Vanticate, hello. Hello. Arg me hearty. Welcome aboard. Is that better? It's Talk Like a Pirate Day, so I can do that, I guess. We didn't get any pirate talk last night, which would have been better. They weren't entirely devoid of pirate talk, but it just wasn't. It wasn't sort of the thick, fun pirate talk that you might expect in honor of Pirate Day. They did something tonight, and they're doing something tomorrow too. I won't be attending because Sarah's not here, and I don't leave the house unless I'm forced. So, yeah, I mean, I'll go outside in my yard because I have a huge yard now, but that's why I have a huge yard. I remember the day they announced all of the state parks were closed, and I said, "Oh yeah," and I got up from this desk and I walked outside and I walked through the woods that I own, and I was like, "F you," because I also am a pirate. So yeah, I was so angry. I'm like, you can't close a state park, you monkeys. Like, what are you thinking? And yeah, it was interesting. Young guy, it's Nanya business. You'll be fine, kid. Nothing's gonna change with that information. Agent Gnosis, it's killing everybody. You got to ask yourself, to know the things I'm knowing, what are the things I don't know anymore or can't know? That's the way to. I only take Benadryl. Oh my God, how do you stay awake when I'm having a flare up? I've thought about that. I have the luxury of being able to sleep through it. Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, you take Benadryl, you're gonna sleep, Denise. That's for sure. I had great luck with Allegra with fexofenadine. That worked really well. I just had to take high doses of it, double or triple dosage. But yeah, I mean, Benadryl, that's death. Benadryl and death are kind of the same thing. It's not even a little death; it's a big death. So, yeah, yeah, it's interesting, right, to think about preppers versus pirates versus ranchers because they're all the same margin, except they're different margins, right? So the margins are different everywhere. On God, I've been watching 1960s drag queen show documentaries. Why? Why would you do that to yourself? I mean, maybe one, but even that, why? Maybe that was the genesis that started a bunch of patterns that people copied. If you want a real trip, there's a documentary on the first ever reality TV show, which aired on PBS. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. I think it had Pioneer in the name, actually, but I don't recall. But the first ever reality TV show, that story is wild beyond belief, like completely wild. PBS back in the 70s in particular, but into the 80s and at least the early to mid 90s, very good experimental TV. Some of the experiments failed utterly, but some of them were very good. I mean, that's where you get Mr. Rogers and things like that. There was a lot of that stuff on there. Sesame Street's pretty wholesome for the most part, but the number of careers launched by the electric company, unbelievable. Bunch of people came through there. But the industry for entertainment was rather small back then. So that's how it works. Good stuff, Ninja. I slept through a couple of days this week, triggered our neighborhood Karen, and then made a video about it. You did? When did you release that? I should be getting notified when all your videos come out, but maybe I am not. Yeah, the pattern of piracy is just one manifestation of a specific type of margin. And also chaos. Like these pirates cause chaos because they can't not. For the most part. Right. And it's hard because once you're in a pattern, it's very hard to get out. right? And you can scream addiction, but there's something else going on there, actually. And people don't realize that. Oh, look, I've got the pirate ship in my monocle. That's so cool. Hold my head just like this. That's a picture I took that is then stylized of a boat that I have. I got to take the boats. I think I have more boats in the shed. I got to take them out and get them on shelves and put them up in the office here. And I figure if I put enough stuff up in the office, then we'll have to move the office because that's how that like you get it all finished and then you have to move. Like that's how it is. One of these days I'll get a little building that is an office. I don't know when that day will be, but for sure that's coming. I just need to win the lottery at this point. That's the only answer. So, yeah, that's the problem. But yeah, I found it very, very interesting that they talked about pirates trying to scale through hierarchy. I was just like, how many people don't know about this? How many? I released my Karen video too. When? It didn't pop up. Oh no, you know what? In the middle of my monologue, I saw a pop-up from your channel. That must have been your video. YouTube's very unreliable, Denise. Very, very unreliable. Ixnon, talking about pirates and the Matrix reminds me of One Piece. What's that? It sounds like a disease. I mean, the Matrix is all about air pirates. They don't pay taxes, Sally. But they also skulk around the sewers of a dead city. If that's the cost of reality, plug me in. Cypher did nothing wrong. I don't. Maybe I'll tackle the Matrix video on Sunday or something. I have a lot more time, kind of. Sarah made me a bunch of meals, so aside from the fact that my timing was off today and I totally lost track of what was going on and was eating 15 minutes before the stream, I just finished. Lovely lasagna. Oh my god, I have lasagna. Oh, it's so delicious. Yeah, I mean, I'll have a bit more free time, and I have some projects I have to do. Like I bought some lumber. I have to build a platform for my silly project of having running water at my at my pole shed for no good reason. There's no reason to do this. Actually, the dumbest project of all time, but I can't help it. Can't help it. Ixnon, an anime manga. So yes, a disease. Yeah, I try to avoid. There's some good anime. Don't get me wrong. Akira was amazing. And Ghost in the Shell, if you want to see the meaning crisis played out. Ghost in the Shell is the meaning crisis played out. Look at the date. Was it 98, I think it came out? Look at the date. And then realize Japan was already there. And that's where we're headed, right? So, Yon God, all pirates predators? Yes. Or some pirates vegetarians? Predating plants still makes you a predator. Denise, yes, that's when it popped up. Yeah, why did it pop up? I can't have watched it already. Now I'm sad. All right, I'll watch it at some point. I'll get around to it. Your videos are awesome, so they're worth it. A little too conspiratorial, but then again, you're dealing with conspiracy theorists all the time, so and actual conspiracies, because there are some organizations. A conspiracy, the way people are defining it, is basically an evil hierarchy, right? That's actually the way people are defining it, an evil hierarchy or an evil structure, right? And their answer, this is the funniest thing to me that actually makes me chuckle every day, is the number of people like stating something and then maybe stating the conclusion, like, and therefore we must have the Epstein list released, and then rallying against the structure. I'm like, well, who are you talking to at that point? Like, if you want the Epstein client list, you can only get that from the government. If you don't like the government and you don't want a government, where the hell would you get like, who are you talking to? But they're so confused and stupid. They don't see the contradiction in what they're doing. It's a performative contradiction to ask for somebody to do something and at the same time not like the somebody that could do something, right? It's so bizarre to me that nobody sees this contradiction. I'm just like, why am I living in this time frame? I was so upset today because of course I turned on a certain channel that I shouldn't have, and just 5 seconds in, right, the mental illness starts, and then I realize no one's going to push back on the mental illness. They're not going to do it, and I can't watch. I can't do it. It's too much for me. My whole channel is about fixing that mental illness problem, and they're just over there getting worse. And I'm watching Carl Benjamin, and actually had some luck because Carl Benjamin posted something about James Lindsay. So I put my part 4 video with James Lindsay and Brett Weinstein on there, and it's gotten like 14 views or something. I'm like, yay, it's working. Now, if Carl Benjamin watches it, I get a shout out from him, then my channel is going to take off. That'd be wonderful. Only because I think now we can really start helping people, because I have enough of the base material. I have so many videos I want to do. I might do up the slides videos. Sarah might have done some of that and just forgotten, but I got to check because I gave her some slides to do a while back, months ago. I don't know if she ever did them, but she's kind of like doing girls thing on vacation here, so I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to get too whatever about it. Ixnon. We need that Nicolas Cage character to steal the Epstein list. There is no list. What are you going to do when you find out none of those people are prosecutable under the law? That's my thing. They didn't break any laws. What are you going to do? Now what? Now you've pissed them off by reputation destruction, which they actually care about, and they have money. What do you think they're going to do to you? I'll hide that list. Thank you very much. I mean, part of the problem is, let's suppose they did violate some like moral code or something that we don't have a law for, which that sure, absolutely. We're also not in a position where we're seizing assets and throwing people in prison. Like, everything goes through the courts now. And that's relatively new experiment, by the way, and it doesn't work. But if we're not going to do that, and I suggest that we do, like Fauci, I wouldn't prosecute that guy. I'd seize all his family assets and make them completely destitute for real. And I'd throw his ass in prison. And I'd announce it to the world. And he wouldn't see a judge or a lawyer or anything ever. Because there's no reason for that. That's just wasting money. And we need his assets to go to his victims. Like, I don't understand why this is hard for people. But also, the world we're living in, that is not possible. Why that is not possible, I do not know. But, like, this isn't that hard. Like, we've done this in the past for most of human history. We can do it again. It's real easy. And that I think is where the conservatives are at, by the way. I think the conservatives would do that in a heartbeat. But everyone would whine about it. Vanticay, I've been busy the last couple of weeks. How's the channel rebrand going? It's mostly done, Vanticay. Somebody who I'm going to pretend is not actually me, but is actually me, needs to get off his ass and like do the rest of the store work for the book. And I just haven't done it. Although, to be fair, I am waiting for a response from our helpful person about the status of the book. And I'm feeling rather good about a business meeting I had yesterday, so I might even spring to pay them their fees there, which are probably well deserved. It's just cash is really tight, so it's been rough. It's very hard to justify returns on a book you haven't sold yet. Although, to be fair, I did actually sell 2 copies, so rather inadvertently. So technically, I'm now a published author, and if Plan 2 goes well, I will also be a patent holder within the next 5 months, which would be amazing. I have my provisional patent. I'm just waiting on. I need help. That was my business meeting yesterday. But if everybody buys enough mugs and dog-headed books and tapestries, the book will come out quicker, because once I have capital that I can spend on trying to raise more capital, then I would do that. But the book is pretty much, there's all this infrastructure stuff we have to put into place, some of which I can do, and some of which I need somebody to do for me, and I can pay for some of that. But man, everybody wants a lot of money to do work nowadays, and I don't blame them. I would like some money for doing work too. I just spent 5 years doing work and not getting paid, but being promised that I would be paid. So that's always a problem. But that's the world we're living in. Like, we're living in that world, right? So we're not like the polite society is broken down. That's why Manners on September 24th is going to be lit. Because that's, obviously going to be part of the theme is, what is polite society? Why is it broken down? Why do we need manners? What's the use in small talk? Like, if you don't like small talk, yeah, you're basically helping to destroy the world. And that's a problem for me because I have to live here. Yeah, I mean, and whether you like small talk or not, like, the utility of such a thing is beyond your imaginings, clearly. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, small talk is okay. Yeah, and I might be able to get somebody else. Although I found out today that somebody else was delayed. I thought they were going to be available after September 18th, but that has changed. And so they might not be available until first week of October. So we'll see. But good things are on the horizon, and hopefully I'll get a little bit more traction post channel rebuild, if that is a thing. We'll see. The rebrand might not work. It's hard to tell with these things. I'm never quite sure what they're talking about, and all the algorithms are so broken now anyway. It's like I like that Elon Musk announced that they're releasing the Twitter algorithm, which is now going entirely AI, and they're going to release the open source code to it every like 2 months or something. And I'm like, I don't know why this is good. What's anyone going to do with that? Right? And this is the elites giving you what you say you want to shut you up. Sorry, guys. It's always going to be that way, by the way. They are elites and you are not. And that just, they're still above you. And there's really not much you can do about it. So if you cooperate, you can make it better for everybody. And if you don't cooperate, you'll make it worse for everybody. And the fact that it's imperfect and sometimes they do horrible things is called Tuesday. And there's nothing you're going to do about that either. All right. But if you stick your head up too much, they're going to get you. And if you try to like go it alone, or if you're forced to go it alone, in my case, the system will eat you. Like, the courts will take all your stuff. They've done it to me twice. So they will. Like, they have no qualms about that. And that's not an elite problem. That's a systemic issue of trying to be on your own, right? It's very important that you have a family of some kind to help you, or your people will know that and they'll eat you alive. They'll take everything you own. Yon God, cockroach tactics are king of the castle. Cockroaches don't have tactics. And if you want to be the king of a castle infected with cockroaches, then you should watch the Lost Unicorn video. And it'll explain why you don't want that and what that symbolism means. And maybe you'll even understand it. Who knows? It's always possible. Miracles occur, after all. So, yeah, I mean, we're living in the pirate era, or error, as the case may be. And digital piracy, I mean, as far as I know, the Pirate Bay torrent site with all the stolen software and music and movies and stuff is still up. It's called the Pirate Bay. Yeah, as far as I know, they're still going. And there are other sites, but that one's like the oldest. And so you think of one of the oldest sort of pirate websites is actually called the Pirate Bay. Yeah. And piracy is all about trade routes. And the biggest underground, drug and illegal weapons sales thing online was called the Silk Road. Right. Or you could try the philosophical Silk Road, but that sounds like a doomed enterprise, if you ask me, for various reasons. The irony that, You know what video I should record? Maybe I'll record this tomorrow or something. Comp sci is greater than cog sci. The computer science people have been thinking about and theorizing about what is intelligence a lot longer than cog sci has been around. They actually have some workable theories. And you know who doesn't? Cognitive science. I'm just saying comp sci is greater than cog sci. I do want to do that video. It's going to require obviously a little bit of research on my part, but maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I keep remembering and then forgetting about that video because I think that's within grasp. Like that shouldn't be that hard. Panda person, how long has cog sci been around? I don't know, like the 90s maybe? Maybe. Not very, because it's one of these Frankenstein hybrid disciplines that draws on other disciplines and combines. It's like science spent all its time splitting everything apart, and then that didn't work, or at least it hit its limit. And now it's spending all its time putting things back together, right? Yes, Kirk, I know that's you. However, let me just explain to you internet etiquette, which I know and other people don't, and I will explain it correctly, which is to say that if your online name is Panda Person, I'm going to read your comment as Panda Person because it matches what's on the screen. Excellent. The Dread Pirate Adams has returned. See, now he's got the hat and the bird.
Yeah, I got my hat. I've got more than one feather in my cap here, and yeah.
Oh, you should have seen the feathered caps at the event that the ladies were wearing. They all had pirate hats with multiple feathers in them.
Oh, nice.
It was awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw the pictures you posted. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, Panda Person. The people that don't know what they're talking about don't have comp sci degrees. See, you're just assuming that they do, but they don't. This isn't that hard. Like comp sci is math. If you think math can birth quantum or intelligence or whatever, then it would have happened without computers, but it can't. And computers can only do bad math, actually, right? They just do it really fast. If you don't believe me, you look up floating point standards for floating point numbers, and you'll realize really quickly what limitations of computers are with respect to math. And so if you can't do it on paper with a paper and pencil, you also can't do it with a computer. And quantum doesn't fix that problem because it doesn't work the way people expect at all. And quantum computers are only good for certain things. Somebody asked that question like in a comment on Father Eric's video. And then I went and like wrote down my explanation and then Googled it, exactly what he asked. And Google expounded on my answer, but basically same answer. If you actually Google about quantum computers and whether or not they're good at neural nets, the answer is still no. And the reasons are obvious to people who know things. The problem is most of the people talking about AI and about computers and about quantum aren't comp sci majors and they don't know anything about it. And just they fool you because they know more than you do, or at least they sound like they do. Likely this, you know what the problem is right now? Because everyone's online, there are a bunch of people that will tell you quite clearly things that sound intelligent and they have no idea what they're talking about. But because you also don't know what they're talking about, you believe them. That psyop, that enchantment is everywhere. Everywhere. And people don't realize that. It's like, this is why the internet is dangerous. This is why democracy didn't work in ancient Greece. This is a well-known, well-studied, well-documented problem. And these wicked smart people who talk about this stuff will go, wow, in Plato's Republic. I'm like, I don't think you read it. Or if you read it, your reading comprehension is terrible. Like some of the stuff they say Plato said in the Republic is just wrong. I'm like, bro, what book did you read? Like Plato says you're wrong about that in that book. You need to read it again. And you're just flooded, Kirk, in this world with those people. The fancy word, the 10-cent Harvard word. Well, now they're 30 cents because of inflation. The Harvard word people. Everyone's got a big vocabulary, right? And they sound real smart. And no one even notices that they say agnostic atheist. And I'm like, okay, your IQ just dropped to single digits. Like if you think you can put those two words together and convey information, you're dumb. Like that, it's A or B. They're mutually exclusive. There are things in this world that are mutually exclusive. It's not freedom from all constraint and freedom from consequence. That's not the world we live in. And the people that think it is, they all have one thing in common. They go, we can't know reality. And I'm like, well, maybe you can't know reality. That sounds like a you problem. I don't have that problem. I got other problems like cash flow, but that problem, I don't have any problem discerning reality, none whatsoever. So Castle, how have you been? It's good to see you.
I've just been here, you know, just pillaging and plundering as one does. And yeah, just kind of trying to take it as easy as I possibly can. And but getting a lot of projects done. I mean, I think, you know, I've been really enjoying. I think even I was listening to some of the unicorn talk in between, like kind of doing a little bit of these side projects, and really enjoyed that. By the way, really solid stream.
Oh, good.
I've yet to actually watch the movie or read the book, but it's got me kind of leaning in that direction. So looking forward to it. And then otherwise, yeah, I've just been kind of still just working on those ebooks and stuff that Sally's been doing the art for. Just amazing work. And I was showing someone today, and they were just super stoked about it. So that's kind of what I've got going on. And otherwise, pretty pleasant work week with the pillaging and the plundering, as I said. And I don't know. I of course, like a true pirate, didn't listen to anything you said before I jumped on. I can't be asked. So I'm just kind of here, just going with the flow.
No, I was doing a new little experiment. We'll see how successful it was. Where I was talking about pirates and hierarchy, and then of course the animation is done. It's edited. I just need a thumbnail, so I'm going to put that out. It's going to be awesome. Oh, more feedback. Excellent. Ixnon, the unicorn talk was excellent. Good. I'm glad you guys liked it. I'd like to know how it was in comparison with the first talk to some extent, and then of course I dread that at the same time. Panda person, Deepak Chopra is the archetype of someone who doesn't know what he's talking about, but sounds smart to the evening. All right, let me give you a little trick. Like you guys, like you make this very complicated and all about knowledge and stuff and power levels, which I'll comment on that in a second. Look, everybody in that space is a charlatan. It's that simple. I'm sorry, they're all charlatans. Anybody who like counters Deepak Chopra, anybody who talks about the same things he does, only differently, they're all charlatans. Some of them don't know they're charlatans. I don't care because I'm a pragmatist. I couldn't freaking care less. Young God, are you familiar with the meme? What is the power level? It's over 9,000. It's over 9,000. What? 9,000? Mark is over 9. No, listen. This stuff is just really easy to understand. The problem is you've been given bad and wrong information. And so you haven't filled your brain with the relevance realization is important, with the relevant or important information that helps you understand the world. So they've flooded you with information that will never help you understand the world and makes you conspiratorial in favor of the information and the systems and patterns, which is even more important, that would help you. Now, when you do patterns, you're not going to know as much as Eric Weinstein. Ever. Like, never. Like, I'll never know a tenth of what he knows. But it doesn't matter because I can see through his BS that even he doesn't know he's engaged in. That's the issue. And like, I get that you can't see that yet, but also that it's that simple. Yon God, in my dreams, Mark is the headmaster of this boarding school I own. Lovely. No desire. I'm having a hard time just like pulling the trigger on the anxiety course, which I'd have to do a bunch of work on because sometimes the AIs screw up. All right, Kirk, what you got for us?
So first of all, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing all right, I guess. Yesterday was busy, and today I had to rush around because I don't know how to time anymore. Yeah, it just turns out that when you get used to having somebody around and then they're not there, and you've recalibrated all your clocks and ways of doing things to them, that now you can't get dinner made before you need to go on stream. So I did, though. I mean, I pulled it off, but
You sounded stressed, but I'm glad to hear that you've been doing fine.
How are you doing, Kirk? What's new?
I'm doing good in terms of what's new. Not much, just hanging out with friends, doing some stuff. Not much.
You're a little soft. You got to get close to your mic
Can-
again.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So just reading Ixnan's comment.
Well, I would read that if you would shut up. Ixnan, the unicorn talk was better than the dragon one. Oh, damn it, Ixnan, that's not what I wanted to hear. But you're on my bad list now. I mean, to be fair, you haven't been on my good list, so it doesn't really matter. I think mostly because dragons are everywhere and unicorns are nowhere. Yeah, okay. It's a valuable improvement on Peterson's good work. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why we were doing that actually. And I probably mentioned like I asked the AI about Peterson and unicorns because I have one trained up with all the maps of meaning stuff. It's freaking great. All the maps of meaning lectures. And it basically said, yeah, he doesn't deal with unicorns. It was very funny. I'm like, see, even the AI knows this. You got to take that seriously. If the AI can find, AIs are really good at finding certain types of patterns. Not all of them. There's a bunch of types of patterns they can't find, but they're really good at finding patterns. So,
But yeah, I mean, I agree. It was a lot like having two people doing like the Pinocchio videos that he would do. It really felt like that. And honestly, Sally's whole like unicorn conspiracy background was just really tied it all together. So
yeah, you know what I
that kept
call
me
that,
around.
Castle? You know what I call that? I call that Castle has a bad influence on my channel. That's what I call that.
That probably
Okay.
is correct. Yeah, just wait till next month. I've got
that was really
plans.
neat.
I've
It was.
been planning something for next month for like the last month and a half. So
Oh no.
yeah, that's all I'm gonna give you too.
Of course it is. We're familiar with your manipulations and your tricks, sir.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah. I'm just
I gotta-
what I'll need is for you to go widescreen on the cameras when that fateful day comes. But
we can do that. We can
Yeah.
do that. Actually, I don't even know how these settings came to be. Not that I mind them, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like if this were my software, I would, there's so many things. I actually wrote to StreamYard and I was like, guys, with Rumble, you could just do this. It would take you 2 seconds. It's literally 4 lines of code and they haven't fixed it. I'm like, It's so easy. Like some of this stuff, like I know how to do it. I'm just like, can you just, but I know it wouldn't work because they all just, I did this math. You're going to love this. So I did this math at one point. I started looking at the companies I was consulting for and counting the amount of code they wrote versus the amount of code that's actually deployed. And like the amount of code that these companies were writing is 10% of the code they deploy. So it's almost all code they didn't write. And it works in ways they have no idea because none of their engineers ever wrote it. It's code from third-party engineers or open source or wherever, right? And so it just turns out that things are not architected in an easy to understand, easy to use fashion. So now, Castle, you have to tell me where you got your hat.
Where I got my hat? Oh, I ordered on Etsy. Somebody actually like made the hat.
So you have one on Etsy. Yeah. Well, this guy I met last night who subsequently subscribed to the channel immediately, which I thought was really nice of him. Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna put the name of the guy who got me this hat in one of your comments. I'm like, thanks, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll see him again because he does some of the reenactments over there anyway.
Oh.
So yeah, they redid the place. So like they have a readout, for the Revolutionary War. And he said they found like a manual from 1758 from the Huguenots that talks about how to build a readout, like the how to. And so they rebuilt the thing on the site. And I'm like,
nice.
That's cool. And they just brought in a new building. So they're opening a new center. And so they'll be able to have larger tours and stuff on that site. Yeah. But it's a big site. It's actually south of Camden where the old Camden town center was during the battles of Camden. There were two. They
Hmm.
lost them both. They won almost all their other battles. They lost both battles at Camden. Unlike the North, which lost almost all their battles except the two key ones, right?
Hmm.
But actually, the South won the Revolutionary War, not the North. Nobody knows that. All the battles down here were tiny, but they were pivotal because they were hoping to be able to resupply from the South, which had all the raw materials. North was all the manufacturing. So, yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know until I moved down here. Like the mill people from Lowell, when the Lowell mills failed, they just moved down here and used electric motors. I was like, what? Yeah, and like I think it's the first electric motor mill is in Columbia, South Carolina. It's now
Wow.
the museum. The building's enormous. Yeah, the Columbia State Museum is freaking awesome. We also have like the best zoo ever. The
Nice.
zoo down here it's way better than any of the zoos in Boston. I'm like, what the hell? This is and no one knows about it. And it's amazing. It's like amazing. It is a
Yeah.
great zoo. Yeah.
That would be
And
cool to visit.
there's a river. And
Mhm.
so you go over the river on this bridge, and on the other side of the river, it's the same entrance fee. Is the botanical gardens.
Nice.
Right. So if you're on the other side of the big river, you go to the botanical gardens, and then they've got trams that'll take you down the hill and across. You walk across the bridge and you're in the zoo. It's so cool.
That
It's
is
so
cool. Oh man.
How long is it?
Kirk, you're away from your microphone again. How long is what?
Again? Oh, the tram. The travel.
Oh, it's not a regular tram. It's just like a golf cart towing a bunch of things down the path. So you can walk the path. It's not very long. I don't remember how long it is. But like the problem is when you get to the other side of the river, you have to go way up and it's very steep. Like it's a walk. Like you've already walked across the entire zoo, right? And then across the river, it's not a small river. And now you're at the base of a hill. Now you have to go up a windy road, which is not a problem. Or you can wait for the tram and they'll tow you up there. And I've never taken I don't think I've ever taken the tram. We've always walked. Like when Father Eric was here, we walked it and stuff. Yeah, it's not a super big deal. And then you can see all the flowers.
Yeah.
Botanical gardens are nice. They're not huge, but they're nice. I mean, flowers are. Now I've got flowers everywhere. I went out earlier today and there's like Butterfly Central. I'm like, I love this place because now that Sarah's here, all the plants are being tended to and new plants have been planted, and now we've got butterflies and dragonflies and garden spiders. Not what I wanted. Everywhere. So it's super nice.
And have you always been a gardener?
I'm not a gardener. That's Sarah's job. When I bought this place, they had gardens, some of which were annoying and needed to be ripped out. But Sarah did all that, and now she's replanted. Like we had to have a new septic system put in. So Sarah replanted all that stuff because that ripped up a significant portion of the yard, obviously. Dirt cheap, by the way, to get septic done here. It's like $4,500 or something. I was like, what? That's 30 grand in Massachusetts. They're like, no, it's less than $5,000.
Bonsai?
No, we have a lot of Japanese trees here for some stupid reason, and they don't belong here, and they're annoying. And I cut a few of them down. I cut a couple of the big ones down. They just fell the other day. I've been waiting for them to fall. Like, are these things going to fall? They get trapped in another tree. I'm like, get out of that tree. Fall on the ground. I have to go out there with the saw and keep cutting them down. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. See how motivated I am. But no bonsais. I've had a bonsai in the past. Bonsais are a lot of work, man. You want to teach yourself discipline, buy a bonsai and try to grow it.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work. I mean, I had mine for like a couple of years, I think, but ultimately I just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, my grandpa has a lot of bonsais in his house.
Well,
So-
that's a generational work right there.
Yeah. I got a coworker that has like, I want to say it's maybe 2 dozen or something like that. Like he actually goes on like these bonsai retreats and stuff, and like actually goes like he takes He's an old guy as well. And he takes these like week or 2 week long vacations and does like these big bonsai retreats, and I guess he comes back with more trees, and so he loves it. So I don't know. I've never liked a tree that much, but I mean, I do think it's cool.
Oh, I love bonsais. I loved shaping the bonsai. That was great. It's very relaxing. There's some Zen sweeping for you. Like that's
I
the
feel like I'd get
ultimate Zen
addicted.
sweeping.
Right? Like I used to get sucked into like little metal model building and stuff, and I have a feeling that if I ever got into that, I'd get totally sucked into it. It's probably for the best I don't.
Yeah, I have a model that somebody bought me when I was 15. And of course, it's in the box. And the reason why is because my OCD will kick in and it'll never get done. And I'll just spend an infinite amount of time trying to perfect it. And I'm like, no, I can't do that to myself.
Yeah.
I know me too well. I'm like, nah. I always thought like, yeah, someday I'll build a ship in the bottle. I'm like, no, you don't want to go down that road. That's not.
No. Yeah.
I didn't know you had OCD.
Kirk, what is with your microphone? I didn't hear any of that.
I'm
You
sorry.
didn't know you have OCD.
I didn't know if I'm on my phone, so I don't know if I'm just speaking. Not is this
There
better?
you go. Now
Okay.
it fixed itself. Yeah.
I was just asking. I was just saying I didn't know you had OCD. Is it like severe OCD or just moderate OCD?
It's controlled. Okay. Classifying it is pointless. Knowing that you have it is important. Trying to classify it that's where all the bad things in the world happen. Don't do that.
Okay.
Same with ADHD and all that other stuff. Like if you have a condition like that, just know about it and manage it. And don't worry about where you are on the spectrum. It's not relevant. Right? Managing it is relevant. Everything else is irrelevant. This is where people get distracted and caught up, so they can't see when Eric Weinstein does something retarded, which is, to be fair, only when he's awake and open his mouth, but also it's when he's awake and opens his mouth.
Eric Weinstein's an interesting character. I'll say that much.
Everyone's an interesting character. That is the problem. This is a very low bar. Ixnay. It's not obvious that Mark is obsessive and compulsive. It's so funny to me because I'm always like, well, surely people understand that I'm super I'm not dyslexic. I'm fantastically dyslexic. Like fantastically. This is one of the this is right. And so why does Mark hate binary thinking? Because that's the same as death to a dyslexic, you morons. It's the same thing. If the world were binary, I couldn't be alive. Technically, I wouldn't survive. That's how I know. It's not that hard. It doesn't take some complicated math equation or some dusty codex handed down from the Mayan Empire. Like, no, I am dyslexic. If the world were binary, I would have been chewed up by it ages ago. It's not hard.
I didn't know you liked the logic of non-binary. But that's good
There's
to
no
know.
logic of non-binary. Logic doesn't exist if the world is binary.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Two conditions must be true for logic to function. Right? Because see, this is where the dyslexia works if it's harnessed. Because I'm dyslexic, I can see the end and the beginning of these things at the same time, which enables me to understand the proper framing. That's why I know when people are full of shit. Because I go, oh, that doesn't make any sense because that would lead to this. The dyslexia helps with that. The problem is, in order for logic to work, the world can't be binary or symmetrical. And both of those are separate, even though they have an overlap. They're separate items. And what that actually means is that there are no symmetries in the world. Symmetries are an affectation of the world that are created by the observer. And once you understand that, things become much easier. And this is the problem. Like people will say, oh, I can do logic, right? And then they'll make the logical error, which is a known logical error in all the books about logic, where they say something silly like, oh, well, this is also a problem on the right. Okay. No, it's not. There's an asymmetrical relationship. So the fact that it happens, right? So like if something happens on quote both the left and the right, do you know what that means? It's a property of neither set. That's what it means. It's a universal, if you will, property. What do those two sets have in common? Even though they're wrong, they you can do that, right? You can make sets any way you want. Unfortunately, this is part of what we're suffering from, right? Oh, humans, yes, right? Because the sets are both made of humans, they have some set. So any quality that is equal between the two, right? And how do I know they can't do logic, Kirk? How do I know? Because what would you do in mathematics if you had a 2 over here and a 2 over here and you were trying to resolve an equation? You'd cross them out. You wouldn't use them as evidence of anything. If you knew logic or you understood mathematics. So this is why I can be so certain, right, that they're retarded, because technically they're a little slow if they don't know that. I'm bad at math, and I know that. This is not a good sign for these people, right? They can't do first order logic. That's first order logic. It's not even second order logic. If they can't do first order logic, you shouldn't listen to anything they have to say, because they cannot draw correct conclusions except by accident. Now, people, like, accidents happen, and therefore everybody, even Eric Weinstein, occasionally says something correct by accident. I'm not interested in listening to all the people who are correct by accident, because that set is the same as the set of all people. This is not interesting, right? That's a universal. Universals are not interesting. You cross them out when they're on opposite sides of an equation. They're not interesting. See how I did that? This isn't hard. This is why I get upset with people when they're like, oh, Mark's power level's 9. Think bullshit. This is just really simple. And everyone's overcomplicated it for you for no apparent reason other than they control you now. And I'm sorry they did that to you, but also you can get out of this really easily. It's not that difficult. And even basic arithmetic that you learned in grammar school can show you how to do that. Now you have to work on it, and you have to stop listening to other people, right? And you have to be smart enough, and right, because not everybody's smart enough. Like, a lot of people can't see you got fired, you were canceled. Like, these people are dumb. They just have a very low IQ. Like, I don't know what else to say. Now, yeah, IQ doesn't work except on the lower end. Nassim Taleb talks about this. He's got a whole paper on it. On the lower end, IQ maps better. And on the higher end, like once you reach the median or the mean or the average, all of them actually, because they're all the same, because it's linear scale, it stops working well, right? The correlation goes away as you get closer to the center. And then once you hit the center, the correlation's gone completely.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, part of it is that people are slow, but part of it is that most people, even those who are intelligent, don't think before they speak. And I think there's a difference between thoughtlessness and stupidity, because stupidity is the lack of capability of thought.
It wouldn't help them. Yeah, but how would you know if they're thoughtless or stupid? From the outside, you could never determine that. This is why pragmatism works so well. I'm not saying there isn't a set of facts that you can bring to bear to figure out the difference. I'm saying that no one ever does that, even if it can be done. And most of the time it can't be done. Like, you just don't have the information. So the fact that there's two conditions that cause the same thing is uninteresting. And when you fill your brain with this idea that, oh, well, there's two conditions and they're different and okay, you're pushing out all the important information you need to know. If they're full of shit, you need to stop listening to them and do something useful. That's my whole trick. Oh, do I need to stop listening to this person and do something useful? Why, yes, I do, because they're dumb. Okay, cool. Bye. That was my experience this morning with the live stream. Just checking in. Oh no, I know where this is going. Time to go. Think I'll go do something useful. Not hard. This is not hard. Right? But a lot of people have a hard time because they're like, oh, something's happening. People are talking and sharing their feelings. And I'm like, that's called Tuesday. Like, that happens every day at the grocery store. I'm not terribly interested. Right? How do you know a thing is a thing? Well, because they can describe it to people. And if you ask 4 people what the same thing is, and they have 4 different descriptions, guess what? It isn't. It isn't a thing. It's not that hard. Like these very easy maps for understanding the world and at least avoiding the bad stuff. And people just want to cry and go, it's not that simple. It's like, no, it actually, how do I know that? Because everybody in the past did not have these tools and they built all the things you have. You see how easy this is? If you use actual first order logic correctly and add a little bit of history, all of this stuff becomes abundantly clear. It doesn't take a high IQ. It doesn't take a lot of knowledge. It takes the right kind of knowledge, right? Or the right kind of facts and evidence and understanding and the right engagement with first order logic. And simple first order logic can lead you to understand what to listen to and what not to listen to. But you have to be able to employ it, and you have to recognize not everyone can do that. Like the one problem we have in abundance is people going, well, this worked for me, and therefore this is what everybody needs. And it's like, but everybody isn't you, and the odds that that's true are negative infinity because everybody is different. And so what is that? Well, that's equality doctrine, right? That's the result of thinking that people are just like you. People are not just like you. Castle has a much better hat than I have. He's not anything like me. Yeah. And people are overcomplicating this, you know? I mean, I think it's very telling when Jordan Peterson himself says, I read Lacan and I couldn't understand a word of it. And then a few of the intellectuals back him up with, yeah, he doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, so now we have a pretty good example of somebody who wrote a very sophisticated sounding book, but who actually cannot be made any sense of. So then the question of how many other books are like that? Like everything from Foucault and Derrida, for sure. There's no question about it. Karl Marx's garbage, for sure. Right? So if you made sense of those things, that's your projection. In the same way that you didn't understand what Plato said when he was doing the allegory of the cave. And therefore missed the entire point of book 7 because it's a bookend situation in the Republic. The beginning allegory and the ending allegory are it's all fractal. This is what's so bizarre. Like the Republic is a fractal manuscript. And you guys are all enamored with Peugeot for pointing out that the world is fractal. And I'm like, well, it's self-similar fractal. And it's in Plato's Republic is a self-similar fractal text, right? And so if you think that the allegory of the cave is about you breaking free from your bonds and like, you know, being enlightened or whatever, then your reading comprehension level is probably, I'm going to say 3rd grade at best. Because when you miss the part where Plato says, this is impossible, and then you miss the part where he says, if I did that to somebody, because he's the creator of the city, or God, in other words, by the way, none of this is unclear in the text. I only read it once and I got this out. These people read it 6 times and they don't seem to understand it, which is just boggling to me. It's boggling to me, right? Oh, every step of the way you're in pain and don't like being dragged out from where you were in the cave. Oh, every step. Oh, yeah. And then eventually you're alone in the world and you get so lonely, you try to go back and bring everybody into the solution that you think you found. And they try to kill you for it. Oh, yeah, that sounds wonderful. I don't think Plato was endorsing any of that, mainly because he said in the text he wasn't, and that it was impossible. I don't know. I mean, that might have been a hint. If people read it and comprehended what he was saying, and if that wasn't clear in the text, which it absolutely is in at least 4 different translations, it's not a translation problem, the ending of the book should remove all doubt. Because the ending of the book is the same allegory, only not applied to a single person, which is a pattern in the text, by the way. It's a pattern from the beginning of the text, right? It's all about groups. The groups of the philosophers, one has to be plucked away from the pursuit of philosophy, which is stated as just a good, right? Oh, it's good to pursue philosophy. And he's dragged away from that. And Glaucon objects. And he says, you can't do that. Socrates, you bastard. How dare you take him away from the good? And Socrates goes, because this is the mantra one of the mantras in the Republic. This has to be done, even though it costs the individual something, because what we're doing is for the good of the city. It's a mantra in the Republic that you have to suffer and sacrifice in order to have a good city. Period. End of statement. 0% difficult. That is so abundantly clear in the text. It's insane to me that anybody uses it any other way. They should probably be shot for crimes against humanity. That to me is a thought crime right there, and I'm all for prosecuting it. Right? So they drag the philosopher down from the pursuit of the good, explicitly, like the good, capital G good. And what does he do? He gets to the bottom of the city and he makes observations and tells them how to improve it. And what do? They give him no accolades, and they basically boo him and shoo him away. I don't think that's a coincidence that both those stories sound the same and follow the same self-similar fractal pattern. I think he's trying to tell you something there. Now, it might just be my hallucination, except no, it definitely isn't. And these people tell me they've read this book over and over again. And I'm like, bro, are you sure? Are you sure you can read? Because I got questions. What book did you read? Are you sure? It's not in there. Some of that is explicitly no by Plato, by the author. No. And then you want to know why I'm pissed off about these people. The other day, I had RJ brought this guy into the server. Convinced, because RJ just doesn't understand how the internet works. A lot of people don't. I've been on the internet my whole life. I understand it really well. And this guy was all friendly, and RJ was like, oh, he'll get along well here. And these people, and not just him, a lot of people are like this. They're appalled when I say there are no philosophers past Aristotle. The problem with that is that I didn't make that up. Okay? This is well known. Now, is it a restatement? Am I being a bit bombastic about it? Well, perhaps, but not really. That statement is from other people who have observed that all philosophy is footnotes to Plato. What does that mean? That means there is no philosophy after Plato, and I add Aristotle in for reasons that are my own. This isn't a radical idea by some nut job with a small YouTube channel on YouTube. This is well known in philosophy. By all philosophers have heard of this. And these people act, well, first of all, they read philosophy, and I refuse to. I think it's probably evil, right? So at least everything past Aristotle, as stated. Not theology, just philosophy. So read your Thomas Aquinas. And they flip out. Like I've said something radical or new or like heretical. And I'm like, bro, like this is well known. And you read all these philosophers. You don't know any philosophy, or you would know that statement is true, or at least viable. Like, but it's not radical at all. It's quite mainstream. And there's some arguments about it for sure. And Lantern Jack on his channel, if you haven't checked out Lantern Jack's channel, that's the guy to listen to. He's actually smart. Unfortunately, I think he falls into the errors of not reading Plato's Republic very well, but maybe someday I'll talk to him about that. But because I know him, so he's an interesting guy. But most of his stuff is bang on. And he and I had a clubhouse room years ago where we defended that all modern philosophy is garbage, rather successfully, because we both agree about that. And he, you know what his degree's in? Philosophy. And he doesn't like to call himself a philosopher because he's embarrassed. No word of a lie.
I haven't read Aristotle or Plato, but I would like to read Plato's Republic. I mean, even though they were not religious in that Abrahamic or Judeo-Christian sense, they still have definitely contributed to.
Oh, you might think differently if you read Plato's Republic, dude. You might think real different. In fact, I went after Jack because he just did a video recently on his channel where they were talking about, they did a summary of Plato's Republic, and they were talking about the book 10, which I have a video on, by the way, right? Where there is a resurrection. And I asked him, bro, why didn't you use the word resurrection? And no word of a lie. You can read the comments. It's on the comments, right? He spits back, oh, because the translation of the Greek term is, and I forget the exact wording, but it's the exact wording of one of the dictionary definitions of the word resurrection. And I was like, well, dude, and he went down that road. He said, are you being Judeo-Christian about it? And I'm like, no, because I'm not a Christian and I don't give two craps about that. But I'm big on language and precision and precise speech because Peterson is not wrong about that. Of course, I was doing that before anybody knew about Peterson, certainly me. And that's like the best translation. And that translation maps to one word, exactly one word in the English language, which is resurrection. So yeah, he didn't respond after that. So I don't know. I might reach out to him on Twitter and say, hey, Jack, what's up? Why did you do that? Because at least one person liked my retort, which was, sounds like the Greek word translates to the English word resurrection to me. I don't know. It's just what the dictionary says. It's where I would go. So then the question is, why didn't you go there, Jack?
I thought you were a Christian, Mark. I didn't know you were non-Christian. I knew you were not Catholic, but I thought you.
I don't identify as a Christian, whatever the hell that is by anybody's definition. So, and I won't. Also, pirate. No one's getting it yet. It's fine. Dog-headed. No one. I mean, Sally gets it. Castle gets it, but how many others? Where's Lazarus? This guy, like, he knows my work real well. He gets it. X9 gets it. A few people can see what's going on, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's a good filter. I know who knows the patterns now and who doesn't. So it's super important.
So you identify as some sort of like agnostic, or do you identify with, or do you just not identify?
I just went over it, Kirk, and you totally missed it. I'm not going to identify, dog. It ain't gonna happen. Have fun with that. Right. It's oh no. It's the most significant thing ever. But that's okay.
Okay, I didn't understand. Perhaps I didn't understand your point, but
Beyond God. Plato had no children like Newton. Yeah, but Plato was actually wicked smart, so it doesn't matter. Ixon, philosophy is the love of wisdom, a good thing in all wisdom texts. Yes. Philosophia. Beyond God. Mark 14:49 through 50. I don't know what that is. Sounds like a random reference to a mystical text or something. Which I haven't read. Castle, what do you think about pirates as the integration of the margin into the hierarchy?
It's interesting because they were all hired by the hierarchy, right? Like they were doing kind of like the dirty work of the
not all of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, well,
like
yeah, of course.
Privateering, right? So if you look down from above, which you can't do and I can't do, right? But if you could, they look like villains. But from the bottom, they look like heroes. Because from the bottom, it looks like they're defying they are to some extent like defying the hierarchy. It's just they're not defying the hierarchy they're part of as a privateer, which is the agreement. Yo, you want to buck the hierarchy? We can put you to good use. You can buck their hierarchy and just leave our hierarchy alone. Yeah, it just totally cracks me up. Yeah, I mean, Blackwater are the good guys. Well, sometimes they are, but they're military contractors. So,
yeah, I mean that really is it. It's like it's the contractor thing, or like the is it the consultant thing? You know, I mean that really is very similar to the age. Yeah,
that was the age. That was the age of the corporation.
Yeah.
Right. So like the thesis was, and I went over this in the monologue, but I can go over it again. It's fine. The thesis was, well, we can supplement our state navies, if you will, city-state is probably a better way to frame it, with private corporate navies, because it was the age of corporations. Corporations were huge back then. Everybody's like, look at how big these businesses are. And I'm like, oh my God, if you opened a history book, you'd find out real quick these businesses aren't big at all. But nobody reads. Nobody reads. I'm dyslexic. Even I'm better read. This is terrible. I should not be the best read person in any room. That's a problem. If I know math better than you, it's over. You should actually just commit suicide. My math is terrible. I can't multiply and divide in my head at all. It's terrible. You know, and that's why I'm like, these guys don't even know first order logic, and I can't do math, and I know first order logic and second order logic. This is not a good sign. Something's very wrong with these people. I don't know what it is, but it's really wrong. That's for sure.
I don't know. I have a lot of peace just never thinking about other people. Honestly, I think that's kind of my secret. I think is I just don't. You know what's really interesting? Ever since I stopped thinking about other people, people have started calling me thoughtful more often, which is really funny. Like I've had that recently where it's just like, oh, thank you so much for for being so thoughtful about this. It's like I haven't thought about you in 3 weeks, but that's I just remain I think as little as humanly possible, so things just snap immediately because it's just like, oh, actually, in a certain sense, it's like nothing happened since the last time I saw this person. So
Yeah. Well, that's the way I am too, right? But
Yeah.
that also allows you to pick up where you left off.
yeah,
And what other people do is they project your life as having proceeded since the last time they saw you,
Mhm.
and then they get further and further away from you over time. And people don't
Yeah.
even know simple things like that. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
if only we were teaching people the right things about the world. Ixnay, everyone reads, no one comprehends. Well, I have a whole live stream on that, right? Literacy versus comprehension, and the fact that we've made everyone literate and no one, like, you can't make people comprehend. Like, this is why I've been telling Tim Pool, like, you're right. These people are irrational. How are we going to integrate them into society? Because that's actually the conversation we need to have. Well, that means someone's going to have to do what people are calling tyrannizing them, even though it's not tyranny, right? The thing is, when you take a crazy person or an anxious person and you put them in a structure, it makes them better instantly and to a degree that you cannot imagine. It's just like, what? And it's not, we'll say, perfectly better right away. I mean, it's taken me 2 years to get Sarah down to under 10-minute panic sessions. So this is a good one. I've told this before, so I don't feel bad about it. But so we both signed up for Lowe's, and they just get, like, every once in a while they'll do a giveaway, like once a month. You just go into the store and they give you something, right? They tell you what it is ahead of time, so you get to decide if you want to go in the store that day. It's a great little thing, right? It's part of the Lowe's reward program, and there's a Lowe's right down the street, so whatever, it's fine. So one day we go down there, and they're like, we're gonna give you like gardening shears, and the damn things, Castle, they're tiny.
Yeah.
You know, they're like this big. That's it. And they're tiny little things, right? And we each get one because we've got separate accounts for whatever reason, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's great. Now we've got double the toys, right? And so we had those, and I was, it's me, right? So I'm like, these are mine. How often have I ever used them or thought of these? Never, because I'm not going into the garden. I'm not going to cut down plants. Like I might cut a board, but I'm not going to go in the garden and prune it. Not that I haven't ever or would never, but like, I'm not going to do that. This is not going to happen. I have Sarah. I want something pruned. I go, hey, babe, you see that tree? It's looking a little out of control. No, I'll go cut it back. I'm like, all right, now I don't have to do that. That's great. So we got them for free. And they're like $3 items, right? Which is fine. I'm like, I'm all happy. I'm like, I got something free. I don't care what it is. I'm retarded. Og, no care. Og got free thing. Og happy for next month. Men are stupid. So one day she was out in the garden and she lost them. And she came in crying for 25 minutes. And I'm like, first of all, they were free. Second of all, we have another one. Like, it's right here. Here it is. 25 minutes. And I'm like, really? 25 minutes crying over the free thing we have 2 of? Like, this is what I deal with? But yeah, being an instructor and actually not, not having to go to a job where everybody hates you and they're mean, eventually calms you down. And then you only have 10-minute panics over really dumb things that don't mean anything. So yeah, I mean,
Well, at least you're not bored.
I'm never bored. That's
Yeah.
true. I can't be bored because I will do things. I just am compelled to do things. The problem lately is I can't focus long enough to get things finished, but I'm doing better. I've been waking up in the morning. Like there's this thing
Good.
called morning. I don't know if you've heard of it. And
Yeah,
like,
I
I've
found
been,
out about that recently. Yeah.
yeah, I've been waking up in the morning. It's been amazing. So, and then even though that hasn't really boosted my productivity the way it used to, I've been able to do a bunch of things like before 8. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, there's a before 8 a.m. This is wonderful. I remember this. And that's actually helped to get more things done anyway. Although still got to be able to focus better, but it's getting a little bit better. We'll see if I can continue the trend. I got like 3 days in a row up before 8 a.m. I'm like,
No.
it's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Especially like, I mean, do you wake up to an alarm or do you go just like naturally?
I have to put the alarm on now.
Okay.
It hasn't been working, but
Hmm.
that's okay. Like if the 6:30 alarm goes off and I don't get up, that's actually fine.
Yeah.
If I don't get up at the alarm and I get up at 7:30 now, I'm fine. That's such an improvement. I'm like golden. I'll take it.
Mm.
I'm like bonus score. So I don't care. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I can start getting up at 6:30 again. At least that would be wonderful. Like I used to get up at 5. I used to get a bit
Yeah.
at 1. Get up at 5 every day. Get about 6 billion man hours of work done during a day, and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Built an empire by myself with no support from anyone. It's fantastic. And then when people figured out I had no support, they stole it all. Twice. Well, 3 times technically, but whatever.
Well, they tend to do that. But that's all right.
Ixnon owes us an update on his game testing.
I've been wondering about that. Yeah. Yeah, I heard he's been actually building the thing, like physically.
That's what he says. And hopefully, if that troublesome other person who definitely isn't the Dread Pirate Adams would stop bothering my artist, she could finish my other art for the game.
Ever.
Vantacay, I just started a job this week. Consistently waking up before 8 is something else. I don't recommend it, Vantacay, but I suppose if you have to do it. Already feel less anxious, though. Yeah, structure is amazing. If you have anxiety, structure is amazing. Structure is just like a magical quantity that does things that nothing else seems able to do. And you're like, what? It's like, yeah, well, a little bit of structure, and all of a sudden your anxiety goes down. Boom. And bonus, you get stuff done instead, and all that energy gets directed instead of spread out. Anxiety is just spread out energy. That's ultimately all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I always had that where like I would have, well, also I was drinking just absurd amounts of coffee as well. But and just sleeping horribly, just doing everything wrong. Just actually everything wrong. But just eliminating all the trash and then just continuing to cut down and just like really just discriminate your way to victory of just like, okay, I'm only gonna do the coolest stuff. Even if the coolest stuff is really just the things that get the coolest result, and sometimes that just means washing dishes consistently. Like that, it's not necessarily cool doing it, but it's just like, man, I love seeing just an empty sink. It's just so nice, as opposed to just like a mountain of overflowing dishes and having to like eat cereal with like one of those ladles with the spines on them. It's a horrible existence having to do that.
Well, and those are the people that do work like that, especially outdoor work like ranchers and stuff and farmers. They don't have philosophical existential crises. Like all the smartest actual philosophers I know are people that work with their hands on a daily basis. And also happen to be well read. So they just they trounce guys like Vervaeke. They eat Vervaeke for lunch. It's hysterically funny. They won't face Vervaeke, but whatever. Vanticate, could I still help with the playtesting? Dude, if you're on the Discord server, the link to the electronic version is still there. And as far as I know, it works. No one's told me it's broken. And Ixnon had me put in a new feature so that he could grab the questions. And I think the question editor works. Also, I have a sleep app, and someone needs to test that because I'm just way too busy to do it. So if you want to test that, let me know. You too, Cass, if you want to test it, let me know.
I lack the energy right now. I've been like staggering in the mornings, and like I'm doing the thing where I'm setting the alarms like 10 minutes apart and not putting it on sleep, right? I do wake up on the first one, but because I have so many like low impact things going on with my kind of slow ramp up, and my ramp up is like 45 minutes, that I have it there as safety nets. So I know that if I, for whatever reason, wind up collapsing at any point, I only lose like 3 minutes before I get startled awake again. I'm just, I've been recovering a lot this last few weeks.
You need the Capri Sun or Capri Sun equivalent. That fixes
probably
that problem.
Yeah, I have reintegrated sugar recently, and it's actually been going pretty well.
That's natural sugar in the morning, first thing. That's hard to get because you'll crave it, and then you'll wake up to be able to. That's why Capri Sun was great. It's so hard to get that damn straw in that.
Yeah. What's those Japanese Ramune sodas with the marble? Have you ever had one of those? Oh my goodness, those are awesome. So it's a glass bottle, and it has this weird sort of like double concave thing at the neck, and then it's like a little bowl up there, and then it's the mouth. In the mouth is a wedged like glass marble. And so the weird concave thing is to catch the marble. So what you do is on top of it, there's a plastic ring, and in that plastic ring is a little tab that has like enough space to put your thumb on it, and then a little kind of peg that you can press the marble on. So you have to actually remove the plastic covering, take out the cap, pop out the peg, and then take it, line it up, and then slap the marble in, and then you can drink it. And I feel like if somebody wants something carbonated, that's your Capri Sun equivalent.
There you go. Ixnon says the game test went well. I now need to write more answers to the NPCs. Thanks, man. You're the best. Fanticate, we need to collaborate with the writing. I couldn't find the link again. Where is it? I don't remember, dude. It's on the Discord server somewhere.
Project Help, probably.
Yeah, I think it's in Project Help. It's Project Help channel. It's probably the last thing. It's on that last page anyway. It might be the last post. Ixnon, once I get enough answers for one NPC written, we can use the guide for others. Yeah, the trick really is in writing the NPC answers so that they're ambiguous and not wrong at the same time. And I'm happy to help with that, by the way. If you gin up a Google Doc or whatever, and we can copy me on it or whatever, that's fine. We can always put the distributed cognition engines to work and get that done. But yeah, I mean, that's usually the easiest way to collaborate on things like that is Google Docs. We used to do a lot of Google Docs on Wiki for the Meaning Crisis. We have a lot of material from those days, like meditation series notes and everything. But I have to redo some of that stuff. It's just, if I had the focus. I'm also working on, I have an article in the back of my head somewhere, but I'm working on an article for the Substack. I should have done it today, but I don't know. Today has been a weird day. So I think Casera was running out of the house, and I have that morning call with the Bitcoin people, and they just annoy me every time they talk. Not all of them, but this is like some of the stuff they do. I'm like, why are we doing this? What is going on? You not understand why this is a bad idea? Really? They're constantly getting rug pulled and going, no, this is the best currency ever. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys have all lost money on Bitcoin. All of you, or cryptos, all of you have been rug pulled, all of you, and you're still rah for this thing. That wasn't enough of a hint, huh? This is it. This is like, I was like, oh yeah, watch this shooting not work. Everyone's taking away the wrong lesson. Everyone's taking away the wrong lesson. Ixnon, Project Help has the digital prototype. The other stuff is in our project's wisdom game. See, Ixnon knows what's going on better than I do. Vanticate, there it is. Might be one too many Discord channels. No, there's definitely like 6 too many Discord channels, but then I'd have to manage it. And since we sort of lost Manuel's engagement, and then I have to do it, then that creates all kinds of problems. My brain is spread too thin to. One of these days, I will get in organization mode. Like one morning, I'm gonna wake up at 5 after going to bed at 1 in the morning, and then a whole bunch of stuff is gonna get organized.
Yeah.
Probably by 11 a.m. and everyone's gonna be like, "What the hell?" I'm really, you don't understand. When I have a brief moment of not sick, I do like 40 hours of work in like 4 hours, and then it's done, and it doesn't have to be done again for a very long time. But in my business meeting, something came up, and now I'm like, "Ooh, I could solve that." Like, no, stop.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
You gotta
Like,
simplify.
ooh, code. I know how to code. Let's code.
Also, if you guys ever wind up needing, if you do get a Google Doc that just has a bunch of text with this stuff and you need an editor, like, I'll go in there and just breeze through it.
Thank you, Kiss.
You're welcome. I've been getting, like, I've actually really been getting in a decent groove, and I have said I'm gonna not bug Sally until after the board game, after the stuff that she's doing for me. But my goodness, like it really is. It's gonna be so cool. She doesn't even know. Like I can't tell her. It's burning me alive because I had an idea just within the last like day and a half, and I had this idea that I know she's just going to lose her mind when I pitch this. And I actually, I have to hold it in for like 4 months because she's going to immediately do it. So I can't, which is fine. Like we'll survive without it. It's probably a next year thing, but oh my goodness, it's going to be so cool. But yeah, I can't even tell you because just if she winds up hearing it somehow, I can't.
No, don't tell me either. Yeah, don't tell me. I'm unreliable.
Yeah, no.
I just run this ship haphazardly.
Yeah. But I'd be happy to work on the cards and stuff. I mean, I that's one of those things. Like, I just want all this stuff to like exist. And every time I work on a project, so like this week alone, I've done 2 ebooks, and like I've got another thing approximating an ebook that I'm probably going to get at least half the work done on tomorrow. I say that I might get nothing done tomorrow, but we'll see. I've been like super productive on days where I've already worked. And once I have like 2 hours of rest, it just ruins everything. But I don't know, like working on a board game would probably wind up developing so many other skills for me that I'm just like, I can't pass it up because I can't learn in a normal academic setting. It just doesn't happen. I'm not made for school.
Academia is where we keep people who are useless. Yeah. That's why you can't learn there, right?
It's just...
That's where the stupid people go because they can't be useful doing things in the world. See my video.
Yeah, I'm, man, yeah, there's so much stuff for just the normal, even just like coursework stuff or like traditional course plans and all those things I just can't do. You just throw something at me and just tell me that I can do it. And just say like, all right, have fun, do a good job or whatever, and then bonk me on the head when I do something wrong. Like that's actually all I need, and I'll just wind up learning so much random stuff.
I gotta do the anxiety course. I'm just still struggling with it. I gotta go over all that material. That's gotta be a review day because I have so much material now. It's like
I want us to do the sleep booklet because I actually want to do like. That one, I would like to do a secular version and a religious version. And, like, it would be really nice to be able to kind of do that and just cover all the bases. And everything.
Do you have the latest Google Doc on that I reorganized and added the ramping in and all that? No?
No, I have the... it's possible that I do, but the last thing I remember was the original thing that you had on the website.
Yeah, I got to take that down anyway. Yeah, we got to fix that. Well, that's what the app is based on. And I just need to test the app. I only have 2 more months of free Google App Builder thing.
Okay.
So I got to get that done at some point. I've just been overwhelmed. But yeah. Oh, actually, is it fixed? Last time I checked, because wow! Oh, there's a giant cockroach in my room. Lovely. I don't know where he came from. Actually, I know exactly where he came from, but that's getting fixed on Monday. As soon as the HVAC thing is fixed, we won't have this problem. the the um the app was tested, I think, by the app builder because it
Hmm.
can run the app and then test everything. That's
Yeah.
that's what people should be using AI for, not writing the code, testing the app.
Yeah.
So I think it actually did that. I think that task is done. I think it runs, but I gotta, there's all this stuff you have to do to side load these stupid things when they're not in the store and all this other crazy stuff. I gotta figure out where this cockroach actually came from.
Hmm.
Like how he got way up there without me noticing until now. Although my vision is occluded, so that
Yeah.
might be why I didn't see him
Yeah.
earlier.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I mean, that
He's a
sounds like
huge
an awesome
sucker,
phrase
too.
explanation.
You're simultaneously looking good with that eyepiece and not looking good.
What was that, Kirk? You were mumbling into your mic again. Try again.
I was saying, I mean, that sounds like the Occam's razor explanation. Were you just inventing the Dread Pirate Adams uncertainty principle?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. We invented the Dread Pirate Adams uncertainty principle.
I'm principally uncertain of what you mean by that.
You just said he's seeing and not seeing at the same time. So now you're gonna win the PhD in physics.
Well, I was saying that it's visually, like, to our perception, the eyepiece looks good, so he's looking good because of it. But from his one eye, he's not looking good because he lacks.
It only seems like a contradiction if you can't do first order logic, but apparently no one can.
I had a buddy of mine used to always go and he'd be like, "Oh, I went to the glasses shop and now, or I went to the optician and he told me I'm looking good." And he'd do the stupid eye thing. And like that, I can't ever let that go.
So, Dread Pirate Adams,
Yeah.
how have you been?
I've been pretty well. I've been just working on stuff, just kind of keeping things calm. I wound up bailing, as you probably noticed on Father Eric's stream, and I guess he's not doing another one for 2 weeks. So I'll have to lie in wait for my ambush, which he'll of course never suspect because I doubt he'll listen 3 hours in to this. But yeah, that's my plan. So I'll catch him at the start of next month probably. But probably. I've been on Father Eric's thing a couple of times, maybe 4 or 5 times total, and I think you've been there once or twice that I've been on.
I'm there almost every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've seen you before. How? I don't know. Did you know Father Eric via Mark?
Yeah, I met him. I met him through Mark. Yeah. It's interesting because when I was originally going to start jumping in on Mark's live streams, I was like, yeah, Fridays actually totally don't work for me, but Mondays might. And then I actually wanted to go into practice on that, and then I realized that Mondays totally didn't work, and that only Fridays worked for a really long time. And yeah, so, but yeah, I met Father Eric through him, and then we did the Moby Dick book club after a couple of months, and then that was a living nightmare for what, six months or something. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. Just because it was a nightmare didn't mean I didn't have fun. But
True.
all these things can be true. But a lot of, yeah, I mean, you talk about like type B fun. I also have like type C fun, I think, just whatever that was.
Type B. That was Ted's type B fun. Ted and Corey.
Yeah. And then, but that's like what camping and all that stuff. And then this, I'm gonna probably call this type C fun because it's a little further down the drain. But yeah, it wouldn't have been so bad if we actually had also Saturday during any of that time.
Right.
We didn't have. Yeah, we just had no weekend for 6 months.
Double book clubs. Yeah, that was a mistake. I got to figure out if I want to do Beyond Order. I got to figure out if I want to do the Matrix video. I got to
I
just
don't think
been-
I could commit to Beyond Order.
yeah,
I
that's,
don't think I could do it. They canceled my in-person book club, which I'm actually very happy about. I was insulted for certain reasons, but not for getting my time back. But we actually have an actual we have a rescheduled single day in-person book club coming up October 25th, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. I had a very sort of Kafkaesque interaction with the library today, and I think we're reserved. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So I'm going with as much confidence as I can on the evidence that I have, and hopefully everything works out. Otherwise, we're going to be, I don't know, it should be fine. But yeah, I'm hoping that between that and Father Eric's thing, I don't do too many more book clubs this year. But at the same time, I'm just the worst because one of my old buddies, was talking about like just how he essentially just what I got out of it was that he has too much time on his hands. So then I suggested that we have a book club, and he was like, "Oh, let's do Dante's Inferno." And I was like, "Yeah, of course we'll do that. Yeah, no
What?
problem." It was like, "All right, we'll do that." But the fact is that it's so hard to get these guys to actually commit to something because we're all in different time zones, and everybody works. So it's probably not going to ever happen realistically.
But
So,
Dante, that's hard stuff. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't even touch a text like that.
well, that's the tough thing too, is that there's so many translations that from one translation it might be 200 pages, it might be 750 pages. It's like we gotta actually have the same book, and then I don't know if that's gonna work. And it's just like, oh yeah, we could do Inferno this year and then Purgatorio next year. It's like I don't know if I want to get into all that. We just do like
It's so deep. There's so
Yeah.
much symbolism, and
yeah. I told him, I was like, can we just do like Rats on the Walls, or like we could do like one of the other Flannery O'Connor ones, maybe that Father Eric might not touch or something, and we could just keep things interesting.
Or
Yeah.
would you consider Paradise Lost or John Milton for a book club?
I don't know. I
that's
mean,
another bear. Like, why do you want to do
the
a book club
problem
on that
is,
stuff?
like this was my sort of thing that I was telling the friend that suggested Inferno. Was I was just like, one, these guys, they're not like mystics or anything, they're artists. And so like I have a respect for artists, but the fact is that you're getting like an artistic rendition. And it's like if I wanted to do a book club on hell, we could do a book club on like Don Bosco's personal tour of hell. And like that would actually be like really interesting and also much shorter. It would probably be like 40 pages or something like that. So we could actually get through it. And like that would be more fun for me because like here's a guy that had a mystical experience, whereas you've got Dante who's very skilled, but also like he's putting the people he didn't like in hell, and he's just kind of like doing like crazy artist things. And it's like that's cool and everything, but man, you want to make me do that and do it in poetry form? I don't know.
Ixnay, and do a Lovecraft book club. Are you effing kidding me, dog? I have this romantic, idealistic project in my head. I have several, but like one of them is I want to go through Alan Holub's Compiler Design in C, which is a very large book. I haven't finished going through it when I was very young after it first came out. I have the hardcover edition, first edition. I still want to do that. Probably never going to happen. It's a huge book, whatever. But my other dream is, and I have abridged or unabridged Lovecraft sitting on the bookshelf here. I bought it, a few years ago, actually. My other dream is to go through the Lovecraft, and reread all of it, and with fresher eyes, because I think it was 15 when I started reading him. But I don't know. I don't know what a book club about Lovecraft would even look like now, knowing what I know now. Because before it was just cool.
I would
Only
maybe
thing that ever scared me was reading Lovecraft. Nothing else has ever scared me like that.
Yeah, sounds a little too nihilistic for the type of audience I think you'd want to cultivate.
I mean, we could always one of these days do like Shadow over Innsmouth or something. Like that one's not. That one's more like a pursuit type story.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Lovecraft is he's not even nihilistic. He's way better than that. Like it's fantastic. Like he's so good. It's so good. No, I would do what would I no, I would do like the Cats of Ulthar. That was really good. The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Oh yeah. The Horror at Red Hook is really good. Like that's just a regular dime store detective story. The Horror at Red Hook is awesome. What a like that's where he's really kind of showing off his literary mastery, right? That's like the Beethoven version of Lovecraft. Because Beethoven used to like other composers would be like, I'm better than Beethoven, right? And they'd do this whole thing and they'd dun 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 dun, and Beethoven would just be like goofing on them and walk over and just freaking wreck them. Like he just wrecked them on the piano, just completely destroy them. And like take their piece, make it 10 times more complicated and do it standing up and then walk away. He was an asshole. Lovecraft did that with the detective story. He's like, oh yeah? Here, I'll show you how to write a detective story. And it's so good. Yeah, Mountains of Madness, maybe. I could see. Yeah. Rats in the Walls.
Rats in the Walls was good. I enjoyed that one.
Rats in the Walls was really good.
I haven't read Lovecraft. If there's any Lovecraft reading for someone who's new to Lovecraft that you'd recommend, what would it be?
The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath.
Okay.
Oh, well, actually, no. The Horror at Red Hook, because you'll learn how good an author he really is. And there's nothing like Horror at Red Hook is benign. But Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath and Cats of Ulthar, like that's how I started out. And like Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I think that's his longest single piece too or something. But yeah, there's some really, that to me is peak Lovecraft right there.
It's a little bit shocking. I haven't read him. I've heard Lovecraft is a nihilist. But if not, then
all right. This is what happens with stupid people who talk about things and subjects they know nothing about. Like this is why it's easy for me to know. If you think Lovecraft's a nihilist, your world is small and you're retarded. That's all. Lovecraft, the fact that lots of things lead to nihilism does not make them all nihilism. And if where Lovecraft leads you is nihilism, you have low reading comprehension. That's your problem. Very low, or low imagination, which, look, a lot of people do. Like a lot of people can't read Lovecraft at all. Lovecraft is tough. Not Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath and Cats of Ulthar and Horror at Red Hook. That's not that hard. But some of his other stuff is really hard. And Mountains of Madness, like, if you read Mountains of Madness and you're like not entirely in, we'll say, the most mentally healthy place, it's probably not going to help you. There are plenty of tales, I don't know if they're urban legends or not, of people going insane from reading Lovecraft. And that is definitely believable because, again, the only thing I have ever actually caused me fear in my life was reading H.P. Lovecraft.
yeah.
And it was a hell of a lot of fear too. It's like, oh wow, I didn't know anybody could be that afraid. That's pretty cool.
I mean,
Also,
the main thing that I've heard associated with Lovecraft is like speculative, like science-y fiction, but like, and I've heard like him compared to like H.G. Wells. Was H.G. Wells the one who wrote War of the Worlds?
yeah.
I've heard them that they had a similar writing style, although I haven't read either of them. Although I'd probably, if Lovecraft is hard, I'd probably be more likely to read Wells before I read Lovecraft.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely primer with guys like Wells before Lovecraft, although I've never read any Wells. Oh, maybe I have. I don't think so, though. Lovecraft is the progenitor and undisputed and indisputable master of Gothic horror. And there's no, I mean, maybe he uses one or two science-y, technology-y things, but he's all about the fabric of, what would you call it? It's the fabric between the ethereal and the material. And so when I talk about ethereal and material, that's all because I read Lovecraft and then I understood Lovecraft really well. And some people don't. Some people don't understand Lovecraft at all. Like that's no, like I didn't understand Lovecraft and I didn't calculate all the prime numbers to 10 trillion are about the same. Like, okay, it makes you normal. It's fine. It's the same level of claim. It's not, Lovecraft is not an easy read necessarily. And although, like I said, I think Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath and Horror at Red Hook's just normal, just a normal detective story with a twist at the very end. And it's so well done. It's so good. It's so good. But like, I mean, and you can get weird, right? You can read like The King in Yellow, and that is practically effing impenetrable. Like there's a book club, Castle. Let's read The King in Yellow, and we can all completely go insane actually on our own. It'll be great.
No. Just hard pass.
Well, I had to read it. So one of the guys on Clubhouse that I met convinced me to watch is it American Detective? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think True Detective.
True Detective. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made me watch the first season of that, which is terrifying. Don't watch it. Oh my God, no. That shouldn't exist.
I've seen it, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like I don't even know what to do to comfort you.
It's kind of tame.
No.
My imagination and memory is so scarred.
Oh, that videotape. Oh my God. I couldn't even. Yeah, that whole theme. I can't deal with that stuff. Because I'm just like, yeah, we won't get into it. So that'll scar you. Let me tell you what we do with people like that, my friend. It's like, have you heard of Vlad the Impaler? Amateur. That's where I'm at. They referenced The King in Yellow in that. And the guy was like, do you know The King in Yellow? Because he knew I knew Lovecraft. And I'm like, oh, I've heard about The King in Yellow. I don't know if I want to go there, but I have it. I read some of it because it's an anthology of stories. But my God, I can totally see. Also very useful too. Like I think it's the first story that was super useful because it's like, oh, here's that Kairos, that changing of the age. Like in that, I think it's the first story in The King in Yellow. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, wow. That's like, and it's really well written. The rest of the story is horrific, but like that part was useful. Super well written. So yeah, Sally Joe M. Cooper. Thanks for working on the game. Ixon, I'll be working on character images later this fall, early winter timeframe. Or something weird will happen and she'll get them all done in like a week, but you never know with Sally. So
that might be the case. Well, you know, what is it? Undersell, over deliver. So
yes, always undersell and over deliver. There's a life lesson for you.
She'll for sure have it done by 2030.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
guaranteed by 2030.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have all the artwork because then it's just once we get the NPC and stuff sayings down, and we can just add cards. Do the sell more card deck thing forever. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a symbolism style game too, where you have to match the aphorism with the, with something. But
I mean, yes, but oh my goodness, you could totally overconnect on that.
Well, that would be the key to that would be to train people not to overconnect. Right. So you don't end up with like hordes of half retarded morons going, oh yeah, Boromir is just like Judas. Like I thought I was gonna die. Just hearing that and then hearing other people go, yeah, definitely. I was like, I'm gonna die. This is gonna kill me. Like I don't know. lightning, dropping dead. I don't know. Like, this is the dumbest thing. It was too much. It was just too. I couldn't believe anybody would say anything that obviously dumb. I was like, what is happening? And they're language of creation people. I'm like, oh my goodness. Please, no. Talk about misusing something. Next thing you know, they'll be into tarot and astrology. It's like,
Mhm. It really is it. Like, if you're gonna get into it, you either all these things that wind up being like weird occult stuff is actually the people that only went like a portion of the way through and thought they like it's kind of like the Western Buddhist thing where it's just like you've reached level 100 Buddhism. Congratulations, American man. You can go back and enjoy your mastery now. While
yeah,
we
yeah.
actually continue doing our stuff. And try to reach your level, but I mean, you did it all, so you can go back home now.
Almost none of the native population that lives here reaches this high esteemed level of yours.
Yeah.
Get
You
the
should,
out of our country, you psychopath. Go home.
Yeah.
We'll tell you
It's-
whatever you need to hear as long as you leave.
yeah.
Dipshits.
And then you get all this stuff where it's like the weird occult and witchcraft stuff is basically that, but just like actually worse. But pretty much the same thing.
Sally Joe, like harpies are not dragons. Yeah, harpies are not the dragon version of the feminine. That is also true. Some days I just get so dismayed. It's just like I can't go on. Ixnon, Mark, check out Dixit. It. I need a little bit more, bro. Like, is that a movie, a TV show, a book, a game, an article, a musical instrument? Like, where are we? What is a Dixit? Like, what is Dixit? Where are we getting that from?
I looked it up and apparently it's some sort of game.
Oh, okay, maybe. Sally Joe, yeah, we have an enduring monsters. We do have, yeah, I know, the monsters. Oh goodness, the demons last week. Oh my, popular candy flavored Dixit. Nice, I like it. I have so many things I have to check out. Just we'll see. We'll see. I am a bachelor for like 6 days or 5 days or something. It's a board game. Excellent. I will put it on my list of a dozen other board games I have to look at. What I really want to do is get Feudal out and play Feudal again because that's an awesome game to play. I haven't played it in a while. And I own it. So it's like I have another cool game too. I don't know. I have a whole box of games. It's in the shed, unfortunately. That's one of my theoretical projects is to finish dealing with the shed.
Hmm.
I need to find some sort of fastener system for the barrister bookcases. And then one of the things I might do is take the barrister bookcases down, level them, and rebuild them. And then go grab all the books and start shoving them in the barrister bookcases. And then they'll be out of the shed. And my living room will be full of books. And that'll be cool because I've always wanted a living room full of books. I never had one. So I had some of the books in the living room in the old house, but
Well, if you ever need more books, just let me know. I'm trying to get rid of them. I have the exact reverse thing. I'm trying to get as few books as possible.
No, I'm ready to set up the pyres and actually burn books. Believe me.
Well, that'll help me get rid of them from. If you
No,
need
don't
more
send
fuel.
them to me to burn. Burn your own books, you lazy bastard. This is why you'll never be a pirate captain, because trying to pawn off all the work on.
Yeah,
on
well,
other people.
I'll hire you as a privateer to burn my books.
Hallie Joe Lol, not now. Now it's a candy flavor. It tastes like magenta. See, this is why artists are the worst people. Like, this is why. This is why. I've relinquished my weight in books twice in the last year and a half. Nice. Well done,
Nice.
Sally. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still stinging from losing all of my stepfather's library, which a full copy of Lobes and all kinds of other stuff that I need. Although the Lobes problem has been fixed to my satisfaction, so I have wonderful friends, Castle. They're just amazing. You're among them, by the way, but I think you knew that already.
Yeah.
Adam is amazing. Sally's amazing. Yeah, some of these people are just great. But yeah, I'm still like, oh, all those wonderful books, because I know it was in that some of that collection that I don't have, and I'm just pissed off, and it's just too bad. It's just too bad. It's a shame. This is why I hate people. Like, and they won't let me just seize assets and throw people in prison like I need to. There's only one solution to this problem: seize the assets, impoverish the family, so that everybody knows if you do this, this might happen to you. And if not, at least you won't be enabling the people you train to do that again. Seems like a win-win. I don't know. Where's the downside?
Sounds like a lot of work to me.
No, it's actually way easier than going to court, dude.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
Right. Like court is just forever spent spinning your wheels, spending 20 minutes, when in fact 5 minutes would resolve this quite nicely, you know.
Yeah.
Lying about paperwork and lawyers cutting backroom deals and all kinds of nonsense that nobody needs to deal with. Such a corrupted system.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I mean, that's why the pirates existed, because they were like, look at this system. It sucks. We're in the margin. We're going to do the margin thing.
But, you know, it's nice not having so much stuff, honestly. Like, I've been trying to downsize so much. I mean, I've lost a lot of stuff, and I'm still trying to get rid of, like, the stuff that I, like, there's certain things that I have that I'm just, like, you know, not necessarily 100% indispensable, but for sure my favorite. And, you know, but I've just been kind of looking, like, I even have these containers, and I just look around at some of the shelves I have, and they're really not that full. Like, there's not that much stuff, and I'm just like, there's too much stuff in here. Like, I just need to put it in a container and put it away, or just give it away for free or something like that. If I could just have so much empty table space and just empty, like, shelves that I could just put something on temporarily while I'm working on something, I would be so much happier than just having all this stuff, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. Not me. I threw out at least half my stuff just when I moved, and I've had to acquire more stuff since I got. But like, so Sally was all upset because in the outdoor oasis, which is a pole shed, right? I have a wooden desk, and she's like, "Why did you get a wooden desk outside?" And I'm like, "It was in the shed. It doesn't fit in the house. Like, what else am I going to do with it? Like, and I've had it for like 20 years. Like, I don't care if it disintegrates. That makes no difference." The top of the desk is all destroyed because I didn't realize this at the time, because it was a fairly well laminated desk, but the top is particle board with a laminated with oak laminate. I'm like, what? I might get a different top for it, just a piece of plastic or something custom built, just fit inside.
I mean, you might as well, you know, like, you hear that term, like, you know, ride it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Thing. It's just like, honestly, just get used out of yourself. Like, I can't stand that thing where people go and they get furniture and then they cover it in plastic. It's like, no, like, wear it out. Like, live in your house.
Well,
you know?
some of it should be covered in plastic, but not all of it. Like, that's how I grew up. My grandmother's house had 2 rooms we weren't allowed in except during special occasions. And that was great, because when the special occasions came, they were really special. You never got to go in those rooms.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. If you have the resources for that, and you have the type of room that you would invite esteemed guests to, or you would do like a very upscale event, like I could see that utility being there.
Water will wreck the hex out of it. Well, no, it is under pole shed, which is fair, but still compost. I like compost. Like you're saying that like it's a bad thing. Like I don't understand. Compost is good. It's gonna take a long time to compost that desk. Most of it's hardwood, except apparently for the top, which is it's a different problem. But yeah, I'll replace the top at some point. Yeah, the rest of it's fine. Like who cares about the water? It's also sealed wood. It's not like not lumber from the lumber yard. It was that's why I didn't know the top wasn't solid wood because it was really good. It's well sealed.
Mm.
It didn't become obvious until until it was outside for a year, and then it's like, oh, there we go. Now we see the problem.
I mean, you got a year out of it without it, showing a huge amount of wear. So
Right, and I still use it. Like it's still outside,
Yeah.
and I'm still putting my laptop on it and my fans, and yeah, the laminate bubbled up, but like I said, I'm gonna take that out. And I'll put something else in there.
I mean, the desk that's in front of me now has never been outside, and it's gotten a pretty decent amount of wear just because I wear my stuff really hard, like just everything.
Well, this was literally in the shed, and I'm like, I need this space back, and I need a workspace outside,
Yeah.
like because I can work outside. This is great.
Yeah.
Just grab the laptop and the portable quote shoulder generator, so they call them now, silly people, and you can run the laptop pretty much all day out there. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the life of a pirate. And then someday I'll get an office out there, and then I'll have an indoor office, an outdoor office, and a studio. Dude, the studio is gonna be lit. If I ever get to do the
Nice.
YouTube studio, it's gonna be lit. Highly lit. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have so much pirate stuff. The pirate tapestry they had was so cool. I was like, oh, this reminds me of Castle. I gotta get me one of them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though to have all that office space. Have you heard of this thing called a bedroom? I've got one of those, and I do everything here.
I'm used to my other house. So in the other house, I had a basement under like half the house.
Hmm.
And that was like a 12 or 1400 square foot house, right? 2 baths, 3 bedrooms. The downstairs half of the house was living room and office in the back with a half wall. And that wooden desk I put on the other wall to restrict it, so it looked like 2 separate rooms. The desk spanned both rooms, but it looked like 2 separate rooms. It was so cool. And then I had 8 computers in the upstairs office, and I had 50 in the racks downstairs. Right. Oh yeah, it was serious. I had 3 bench sites, so I could work on 3 pieces of hardware at once, plugged in with monitors, keyboards, and mice, and the whole thing. And I keep reading all these articles on your home lab, and I'm like, I had a home lab for 20 years, and it was way bigger than your freaking crappy rack mount home lab, you wimps. You people are the nothings of the world to me. Be gone from my presence. And as I read these articles, I'm just like, you people you have no idea. No idea. I had 2 routers because I had 2 internet connections 20 years ago, right? Well, more than 20 years ago now. Yeah, I had so much stuff. Like I had ISDN, digital ISDN at 64K, 2 bonded lines. All right, and then I had SDSL business class, 1.5 megs up and down. I had all kinds, and I had cable like at the same time. So I had 2 internet egresses. It was fantastic. But yeah, I had a lab downstairs running servers left, right, and center. I had virtualization, I had cloud, I had all of it. I built it all myself. It was great. Those are the good old days. I don't miss any of it. I was telling the CEO that I was talking to, I was like, yeah, I mean, I like the patent and all that, but like, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to talk to the AI companies. Seems like a lot of work. I'm sort of at the point with computers where I just want to burn it all down and live in grass huts. Like, yeah, I'm just so done with the industry. It's everything's so bad. So yeah, that's Sally Joe, now we have the Muppet Army, though. Yeah, well, I guess. I guess we have the Muppet Army. We have the Muppet Pirate Army. We have Muppet things to do. Well, if the Muppet patent can fund the Muppet things, that would be phenomenal. Or if it can just get me out of debt, that would be fine too. YouTube isn't going to get me out of debt. They keep lying to me about whether or not my channel is having a problem. I'm like, guys, you know that you publish your own numbers and I can read and I know which numbers are bigger and which numbers are smaller than other numbers, right? Like, no, there's no problem at all with your channel. I'm like, you know how numbers work? Because I have questions. These numbers don't work and you're lying. Twitter did the same thing to me. So, although Twitter won't even answer me. I just gave up like a year ago. I gave up. I'm like, whatever. You guys are going to keep me in review forever. Then they changed all the rules. I'm like, thanks. That's great. That's great. I would have been monetized and I would have met your new requirements had you not jerked me off. Fantastic. But all these things are like that now. They're all broken. And no one's going to fix any of them. They're just going to sit there forever until they finally stop working.
Mm. It might be wise to just kind of pull back, honestly. Like, again, the same sort of deal, like mindset that I have with this stuff, where it's just like, I'm going to write it until the wheels fall off, and I'm not going to feel bad when the wheels fall off. It's just like, I'm going to get while the getting's good. And, you know, use it, just leverage it to revivify the stuff I need to revivify it with. And then that's pretty much it.
Well, that's why I want to get the patent stuff out of the way. Because if I can get that done, then... Because that train's coming off the tracks at some point.
Yeah.
Sally Joe, Castle and I have developed the best heck dragons with stripy tongues. They are on fire.
They're really cool.
The dragons are pretty cool. Amazing. So Sally says amazing.
I've shown a few people and they're all like, can I get a poster of that? You know, just they're like really stoked. And oh my goodness. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. Like every now and then, like the last couple of days, I've just been checking back at my phone and just looking at the last progress update that she said. Because I'm just like, this is just so good.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's just, she knows what I want, even when I don't know what I want. And yeah,
it's a good artist. Can
Yeah.
you imagine Vanderclown and those guys rejected her, all her work?
Well, I'm so glad.
I know.
I'm so glad.
Thanks,
I
guys.
didn't even know who he was. So I've just all this. It's just like, oh, a person just rejected this person that does all this cool stuff, and now I get. I had it was the weirdest thing the other day. I had 2 successful interviews. I was interviewing people for a couple of different positions, and what was interesting is I was interviewing someone for like a low level call taker position, and he no-showed. And I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. Like, he's supposed to be answering phone calls, and I went to voicemail 4 times trying to reach him for his interview. And I was like, maybe the call taker job isn't going to work out if he can't get this one. Turned out he had some emergency or whatever. We did it later, and it worked out. But I was like, oh, someone, the director of the department had given me like 9 resumes for a different position. And was like, oh, can you take like a few of these, because this is going to be like a whole thing. Have you to do these, 15 to 40 minute calls. And so I just picked one at random, essentially, and spoke to this lady, and she was actually perfect for the position. And I was like, it's actually so good, because I was screening for documentation and all these other things. But I was like, I called her. I went to voicemail, but she called back within 15 minutes. And I thought I never would have actually tried for another interview today. If this other guy had not failed to pick up the phone. And I just did it because I had the time set aside. And it was like, oh, it was actually good. And then he called me after she was done, and we might actually wind up hiring him because it was a legitimate excuse. And yeah, I was just like, but the way that stuff works out, where it's just like a person fumbles, and then it's like everything else works out. The only thing that's too bad is that the person who fumbles, like, they could pick it back up again, but then sometimes they just don't,
Right. Right. Well, a lot of people give up when they make an error because they want like a super, super perfect world. Sally says, I'm going to have to work on it into next week. We had issues with car repair. Yeah, parts delivery. Nixon, everything is dumb and it's going to get dumber. Dr. Rolligator. Yeah, well, it'd be nice to have his support on Twitter, but certain people do not help as much as they could. Sally Joe, I'm just thrilled that Castle understands it was an error in Christian art to stop painting angels with blue wings and leaving the epic scenes to video games. I think she means video games, but they might as well be called video games.
We also totally ripped off a video game poster to it's not exact, right? But I was I saw that. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, it's everything that because actually that entire, like the Doom series is actually like essentially based on St. Michael as well. Like they've flipped into like pagan territory now and everything, but that was the
beginning. That whole poster's backwards.
Yeah. And now my whole thing was, it would have been cool to see him with his hand around, like the whole thing was get his hand around something's neck, but at the same time, I love the downward sort of like stomp.
Well, that's the error that they made. Right. Is that it's the imagery is supposed to be pure emanation.
Yeah.
And that's what we're missing is the pure emanation. See my unicorn video with Sally Joe. Yeah. That's part of the whole thing is that as a culture, we've just lost emanation entirely.
Yeah.
And everything's emergence. And it's like, isn't like, that's creation denial. Like, if you don't understand emanation, it's automatically creation. You can't understand creation at all. You're all done. Like, it's finished.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she totally gets it. I'm so stoked. I can't wait to see the just more on the wings and everything.
She was so worried that you were going to be upset that she had to change the up-down aspect thing.
No,
like
no, that's the thing. Like
once he sees it, he'll know it's right because he can see patterns, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
The hell's spawn canonically cannot be above the eye line of an angel. I looked at many angels. Yeah, of course not, because it's emanation.
Yeah.
Emanation. Everything's below the emanation. It doesn't matter if it's ethereal, because it's not how emanation. This is more bad symbolism.
I mean,
nitwits don't know the difference.
There's a way where you could make it work, right? If it's like something is going, I will ascend, and you just smack him down, just volleyball spike the guy back down.
Volleyball spike.
Like, it's like he thinks he can go up, and it's just like, no, man, you're not going to do it.
But in the imagery, they're never above eye level. They're always below. For the
of course, they have to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we've lost that art style, which means we've lost the intuitive, poetic way of understanding that, so that we don't have to try to read about it or talk about it, because then you get freaking John Vervaeke going, "Oh yeah, emanation, and let me tell you more about emergence," and it's like, that's great, John, thanks. Because emergence is easier to talk about than emanation. You could make it work, and it would be heretical. See, don't.
Yeah, I mean, to your point,
don't anger the artist.
It would turn it from from religious art to entertainment, and at that point, it would at least be, if not heretical, it would be profane. And so,
yeah. Well, it wouldn't be heretical, right? It would be profane.
Yeah.
Protestants don't understand the word heresy means teaching, so they're confused.
That's okay.
Or people think everything is teaching now because they're Protestants. They don't. Anyone can be a pastor, right? There's no difference.
There's still that thing, like to the point of like the downward perspective. Like I pointed out to you a while back in the Language of Creation book club, there is that one book that had the Salvador Dali painting, and it's like the crucifix is like completely detached from the ground, and the perspective is above it, and it's just like, what are you doing, guy? Like, you completely missed everything. And people are still putting that on their books and stuff. And it's just like that interestingly, that actually is technically a heretical image. It's also profane. And so that's one of those, if you want to get lost in the weeds, which I don't recommend, you could
Sally Joe, sure, whatever, it's the wrongness.
The wrongness, I agree.
Artists are so artsy. It's
That's
just
actually better. Like I'm actually bound under obedience to never refer to not things but people as heretics or schismatics unless in the past they were formally declared as such. I actually
right.
can't as of like within the last 50-ish years, I actually cannot do it without being like formally disobedient.
Right.
So
Well, no one should be
I
able
love the
to.
wrongness. Yeah.
Right, but Protestants are always like, I can do theology. And I'm like, all right, have you been in a monastery for 25 years and studying theology at the same time? Because if you haven't, then you're not a theologian and you can't do theology and you're just a liar and probably not a good person. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I
you've,
wish in
you've
general
kicked
just
yourself out of the good person club if you think you can do theology. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know why anybody would even think that would be an option. Like, I just don't get it. I'm like, I don't know what you think you're. Everybody just declares what they think can happen. I declare this is heretical. It's like, you don't have the authority to do that.
yeah. It is one of those things. Like I also agree with the teaching because one, like you don't want to just have people identifying against randomly, but also that where it's like you also don't want to jump your own hierarchy. Like that's even good pirates
Right.
don't do that, right? And then
But then that is an identification against automatically.
yeah.
You're jumping your hierarchy. So you're
Yeah.
identifying against your hierarchy. Like you're trying to be Sally, I don't think that's what she said. Afflicted with the wrongness of the castles bound for 50 years. That wasn't it. 20 years of preconception he was bound. That's not what he said. The lore is so deep.
I'm fine with it.
Rebirth lore.
Go
No,
for it.
not what he said at all.
I'm perfectly fine with it.
Sally's the person who Manuel and I were saying, no, you don't have to get a Twitter account. And while she's setting up a new Twitter account.
Oh no.
And then at the end goes, I thought you told me to get a Twitter account. We actually said to you a dozen times, do not get a Twitter account. We will do all the tweeting for you. Don't touch Twitter. And she goes and sets up an account during this long 20-minute conversation about why she shouldn't have a Twitter. So don't worry. This is an average day for Sally.
I absolutely love that. Just that I was preconception bound under obedience.
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
That's why we keep Sally around, even when she's wrong. It's interesting.
I'll have to pre-birth lore. It's just too good.
I love the pre-birth lore idea.
Yeah, that is good. There's a really annoying but also entertaining thing. There's this small group of guys that lives in my area and just kind of like shows up at random church things. And these guys, because I have Spanish Crusader ancestry, like hundreds and hundreds of years back, they're like, oh, this is the guy with the lore. And like they go and they start talking of, so that actually is pre-birth lore that they're talking about. It's so dumb because I'm just like, dude, I have no connection to any of this stuff aside from just knowing that happened and like owning a sword or whatever. And they're like, oh, like you should. It's just so stupid. And every time I see them, they always bring that up. I can't get away from it. So yeah, pre-birth
all lore is technically pre-birth because it's older than you.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me that like there's just a handful of rules and I wish I could codify them, but I'm not like I can't even. They're so deep in my experience, right? That if you just have this handful of rules and you like just never question that dogma, like the world is so easy to understand. It seems criminal. Like most days I'm like, I feel like I'm doing something illegal because I just understand these things so much better than other people, and I'm not putting any effort in whatsoever. It just feels awful. I feel bad for all those people struggling with these ideas. Like all the people who go, well, we can't really know reality. And I'm like, that definitely sounds like a you problem and not a me problem. I don't know who the we is, but I'm not included in that we. I feel really bad for you though, bro. I hope you learn something or work it out or whatever. But It just seems like of all the things to not know, reality seems like the one that you need to know any other things. But what do I
Mm.
know? Oh, reality. That's what I know. Freaking retards. Sally Joe. I as well have pre-birth lore. All lore is pre-birth. It's because we are a people who know we are a people, and lots of people are unsure about that they are a people. Right. Well, they want to be a person who's an individual, and then you're not a people. And it's like, no, but you're a people because you were born into a people, and
Mhm.
ownness be damned. The thing, they're a person and persons don't exist. No, individuals don't exist. Think. No, individuals don't exist. Persons exist, but you have to define persons as connected to themselves, nature, and other persons. And if you're not if a person is not part of other persons, which would make them part of a people, then yeah, you like the whole universe doesn't work, and you can't know reality because it's interesting too. So like some of Paul Vanderklee's good work is, he talks about sanity is outsourced, which
Mm.
of course it is. Like by definition, it would have to be. By the way, this isn't that hard, right? And that's automatic distributed cognition. And like he doesn't make that connection explicit, or at least not that I've seen, and he should. And it's like, also, wouldn't it be better instead of trying to figure this shit out on your own if you just kind of use the distributed cognition or distributed memory? Because if it's cognition, it has to have memory. Cognition wouldn't work without memory, obviously. Although apparently it's not obvious to cog sci people because they're all dumb. They don't even look at the research on intelligence to know comp sci is greater than cog sci. And so they get these things confused for no reason. Like, this is easy to resolve, guys, but that no, hell no, we won't go. We'll read Foucault and Derrida and think that either of those guys have a brain, more than 2 brain cells in their head at once. It's like, no, these guys are morons. Morons with big vocabularies. Intellectual yet idiot is what Taleb calls them. I call them overeducated morons.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a thought the other day thinking about this project that I've been working on with Sally, and I was thinking there's only one other person really that has actually like been kind of working on this off and on. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy that, only 3 people have really worked on this. And then I realized actually that's not the case, because the sheer amount, like I'm thinking so locally and like so right now,
Right.
but really just it's actually untold tens of thousands of people basically have accomplished this and contributed to the other stuff that we're actually like putting the art onto and all these things. Like all of that stuff was completely impossible. Even the people who didn't directly contribute, there's people that preserved it for
exactly.
like
Well, and people
literally
don't realize
1,600 years is how long some of these things have been preserved until I could put them in the website. It's like,
wow.
Yeah.
But people don't realize there's a gold mine of stuff out there that if you just organize it and direct it and add some structure and
Yeah.
put a little time, energy, and attention into it, it could be huge. And you don't have to do much. Like you don't, because everyone's stuck with like, well, I want to invent a new way to do X. And I'm like, all right, but the way that people do X now already exists. And if you just did that instead of trying to invent a new way to do X, the improvement would be tremendous. Like, why are you trying to, do anything else? Like, what's wrong with your brain?
Yeah. It almost grieves me when I can't, like if I want to cooperate with something, or if I see that someone is doing something that's good, and I want to sort of cooperate with that and like make things kind of interact or barter, and then they almost like refuse to do that sort of cooperation, or even allow me to just contribute for basically like no return aside from, hey, can I just use your thing, or like add to your thing or whatever. And then it doesn't happen, or it's like pulling teeth kind of making it happen. It's like, gosh, like I actually so can't stand having to start over and do this whole thing myself, that it would be really nice if I could, even if I got no credit and we could just say, oh yeah, this guy did it, but we just like, here's the thing. and yeah, it's tough to manage that. And so that's where it really trips me up when you see that people need to always have their thing. It's like it's just exhausting.
They want to own the whole thing. Having mode,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of Viki's good work. Yep, because none of us has made a pencil. That's right. Curation, woo, yes, Sally. Ixnon, you need contrast to see. I've heard that somewhere, Ixnon. That's really clever. Which means looking at different things and not different views of the same thing. Exactly. Postmodernism for the loss. Well said. Well said. Yeah. It's so weird to me too. And everyone's so stuck on this. And I was explaining to somebody in the Discord the other day, like, no, you don't understand. Like, doing something that everyone's already doing and making money at differently means you're never going to make as much money as those people automatically, because there's a cost to coming up with a new method.
Yeah.
And the cost is exponentially higher than you realize. It's not a linear thing. So yeah, you're better off just doing what other people are doing and doing it as best as you can. That's it. It's not that hard. But everybody wants to own their new way of doing consulting. It probably sucks, but even so, you're putting yourself behind for no reason.
And it's
No
not
reason.
that hard to outcompete people. I mean, you just have to consistently show up across time. And that
That's
already
right.
puts you in like, not even the top 10%. That's like the
No.
top 1% of the 1% if you can pull that off for like 2 years.
The top one, well, 2 years, yeah. But like
Yeah.
showing up consistently, you're already in the top 1%.
Yeah.
Because most people can't do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can do this and I can do that. And I'm like, yeah, but can you show up for one simple thing for 6 months? You know, even once a week? Because if you can't do that, you can't actually do any other thing. So people don't realize that. And yeah, I did a whole business meeting thing for like a year every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that multiple times, but like I did that with my buddy and we never launched the business. I tried to launch it with another friend of mine and nope, we could never get it off the ground. But yeah, we would sit and discuss it over dinner I think it was every Monday or something. At this place right off the highway near my house. So I'd just drive down there and I'd order a ginger ale and wait for him to get there. And then he'd show up and we just talk about, it would work this way or it would work that way. And yeah, and I codified all that. I have all the documents too. Business plan, the whole 9 yards. We had the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's one of those things is that even almost like the thing where even if you take notes and you never read them again, like the fact that you actually did something, like there's still a net gain there, and that type of stuff is going to wind up transferring over into whatever else you're doing.
Well, it fixes your memory. People are like,
Yeah.
I have a bad memory. I'm like, do you write things down? They're like, no. I'm like, well, I think I know why you have a bad memory. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize how simple it is, right? They have no idea, and they get caught up for no reason, right? Sally Joe, we could have office hours like navigating patterns basically has for a while now when I do dishes. Yeah, well, we had a whole plan for Wisdom Community Discord. And we could never get it off the ground. I hear something outside of my door. That sounds inconceivable to me. Well, that means I should close down the stream. All right. What do you get for closing thoughts there, Kirk? Anything?
Not in particular. Good night, y'all.
Well, thanks for visiting, Kirk. Have a good night, man. Good to see you. Castle, what you got for closing stuff?
Yeah. Revivify your own hierarchy. Don't jump your own hierarchy or undermine it. And insofar as you're in a good hierarchy, might as well jump the other ones, as long as that's sanctioned by your own. And just don't identify against. That's all I got.
Excellent. Yeah, and don't be a pirate. They meet with violent ends. That's all I got. So look, I'll see you guys next week. And actually way before that, right? It'll be the 24th before it's Friday. Yes. Wednesday, we will do manners with Rachel Fulton Brown. I think it's Wednesday. I think it's the 24th.
Nice.
And I will do the Friday pirate live stream. And I don't know what the topic will be, but there will be one. And look, I want everybody to focus on making the world a better place by being better, because the world needs you. So be better. And what does the world need from you? The world just needs you to be better. All problems are solved with that. And everybody have a good week. See ya.